So guys, it's that time of year again where you get to stare at my desk and my hands and I go through every single eyeshadow palette in my collection. I have done this video in previous years and this is the turn of 2025. So I'm going to just go through everything. There's going to be a small declutter involved where I'm going to get rid of some of the palettes that I don't feel like belong in my collection anymore for one reason or another. And I will gift those palettes onto friends or put them in the bin if they're really, really old and they need to be in the bin, that type of thing. So I hope you're ready for what is probably going to be an extremely long video. Please get your beverage of choice and let me know down in the comments what that beverage is, and I have some lemonade to the side of me. Let's dive in. So, where do I begin in this massive pile? I think we'll start with some Colourpop because I have quite a lot of Colourpop and I don't know if I'm going to be keeping it all. Now I do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes and that is because I not only collect eyeshadow palettes but I review them on this channel, so yeah, there's a lot. And that's why I'm going to get rid of a few bits and bobs here and there. But we're going to start out with Colourpop, so I'm just going to move this little pile into the centre for you. And we start with a really, really good palette that unfortunately is discontinued. It's the Colourpop In the Limelight palette. I do generally like Colourpop, they're quite an affordable brand. But I do think in 2025 their eyeshadows haven't been as quite up to par as previous years. Like this palette, I believe it was released in 2024. I could be lying, but this colour story is absolutely beautiful. I love green eyeshadow. You will see that throughout this video, but this is such good quality. I love this palette and I really, really wish they would bring this back because it's a fantastic one. So definitely keeping that. Then we have the Star Wars palette, which is the C3PO palette, and inside this is the colour story. Now, it's not a colour story I would typically go for, however, because it's Star Wars related, and in recent years I've discovered I love Star Wars, I am definitely keeping hold of it because it's a little bit of sort of merch as well as a palette for me, if you know what I mean. But this is very shimmer heavy, but still, I mean, come on, it's C3PO, so, you know. Again, we have another Star Wars palette. This is the Mandalorian palette. The colour story of this one is much more up my street than the previous one. Really, really nice quality. Definitely keeping that one. Oh, Darth. I love Darth Vader. One of my favourite characters in Star Wars. Not my favourite of colour stories because I don't typically use a lot of greys and reds. However, you know, Darth Vader, come on. High Tide, this was a beautiful teal palette and it has really, really good quality, and I like the fact that it goes from really deep to really light and we have the mid-tone shades, and there's quite a lot of mattes in this one, so I love that one. The Tinkerbell palette, when I can get it open, looks like this. Again, fantastic quality and really nice shades of green, different to the other green shades in the other palettes, but yeah, I think I'm going to be keeping that one too. All Amethyst. Now, some people had a really bad batch of this palette, unfortunately. My palette works beautifully. It's a shame that some people found that theirs didn't. I do really like these monochromatic style palettes from Colourpop. The Lush Life palette. Again, I wish this wasn't discontinued because the colour story is so, so beautiful, especially the blue and the green on the bottom row. And it's just, it feels like Lush. It's definitely a Lush colour story. And the All That palette. One of the best red palettes in my collection. Again, I'm not sure if this is discontinued, but it does kind of have a pressed glitter in this one. So I think I am gonna declutter the All That palette. It's been a long time in my collection, but I think it's finally time. And then we have some smaller palettes. We have some 5 pans. And these colours, I mean, I love all of these colour stories because they're so up my street, but I think I'm going to declutter the blue one because I don't really reach for this one. It's called Rumour Has It. And again, they're nice quality in these, but they don't make them anymore and I don't really reach for that shade. So I'm going to declutter that one. There's no way I can declutter this one just because the colour story is just beautiful. It is on the lighter side, but I think it's a nice companion palette. So keeping that one. And the green one. Again, this one has, when I can open it, a lighter green matte, a deeper green matte, and some really nice shimmers, so I'll keep that one also. Did I tell you the name of this? It's High Society. Then we have the Aura and Out palette. Look at this colour story. Again, a shame that there's a pressed glitter up there, but I don't know whether to hold on to this one or not. I'll put that to the side for a moment. Then we have the Just My Look palette. This is a deeper green and a gorgeous grungy brown as well, but I am going to declutter that one. Then we have the In a Trance palette. I think this was the first palette I ever bought from Colourpop. And it is a stunning colour story. I think I'm going to keep hold of it because it was the first I bought and I do like the colour story. Why am I putting it in that pile? That's not the keep pile. Mint to Be, again, another gorgeous monochromatic palette and very, very minty. I think I want to keep that one. So we'll get rid of the Aura and Out palette and we'll keep these ones. Yes, yes, we have another huge stack from Colourpop. I know, I know. Right, this is the most recent palette that I bought from Colourpop and it's the Tangled collaboration palette called The Best Day Ever. I bought this because I'm a massive Disney fan and I love Rapunzel. I think it's a fantastic film that they did. The colour story is beautiful and it does definitely match the film. I was not blown away by the formula of this and unfortunately I am going to declutter this one. Ooh, the Not a Box of Chocolates palette. My friend bought me this because I had my eye on it. Even though I'm not the biggest neutral fan in the world, there was just something about this palette. I'm not sure if it's because it does definitely resemble chocolate or not, but these are some of the most pigmented brown eyeshadows I've ever used and I love it. And of course it was a gift from a lovely friend, so I'm keeping this one. Then we have the Lust for Dusk palette. One that you wouldn't necessarily think that I would like the colour story of, but actually, because it's so different, I have held onto it for a really long time and loved it, but I think now I will declutter this one. Limoncello. Oh, I love this palette. Oh, can we get into it though? The colour story of this is beautiful. Oh, the yellow and the blue. I'm going to think about that one. Malibu Barbie. I was big into Barbies as a child and as stunning as this palette is with the colour story, and it does definitely fit the theme of Barbie, I am going to declutter this one. Oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love this series. If you haven't seen this series, I would really recommend it. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed watching it with my daughter. And we did actually name our fluffy ragdoll cat Zuko after one of the characters in the show. There's no way I'm decluttering this. Not only is it good quality and the colour story does match the theme. I mean, come on, it's Avatar. 100,000,000% keeping. Colourpop and Stranger Things. Interesting that I'm filming this after I've just watched the first episode of season 5. I think the packaging that they did for this is absolutely fantastic. Like, even like the veins on top that's a little bit plasticky. The little cutout where you can see them on the bikes. Now, the colour story. I will say it does match the Stranger Things theme. However, it's not my favourite colour story for an eyeshadow palette, but I'm more or less going to be keeping this one for the fact it's Stranger Things rather than the colour story. But the quality is really, really nice. Definitely keeping that one in its box as well. We have another Star Wars palette. Now, I do love this palette. This is one of my favourite palettes from Colourpop, and unfortunately I do believe it is discontinued. But again, we know that I love Star Wars. I love the artwork in this palette. Like, it is stunning. Fantastic quality. A little bit shimmer heavy, and there's quite a few neutrals in there, but still loving that one. This one is the Legend of Korra palette, which follows on from Avatar: The Last Airbender series. And again, the packaging when Colourpop do collabs, I think is second to none. I think they always smash it when it comes to the aesthetic of the palette and the collections. This is a similar colour story, but it's a little bit brighter. And there's definitely more shades in this one. And again, I really like that. There's definitely no way I am parting with that one. Oh, okay, we have the Hocus Pocus 2 palette. I never bought the other Hocus Pocus palettes from Colourpop, and I wanted this one because this is the colour story and the artwork that I liked the most. Like, look at this beautiful colour story, and it's such a shame because I really did not enjoy the formula of this. The worst shade in this that I just couldn't believe that they actually put in a palette is Wicked Ways. It doesn't swatch well, it doesn't pick up on a brush, it doesn't really do anything apart from sit in the pan. And I'm not sure if it's just a bad batch that I got or whether everybody has this problem. But yeah, that's It was disappointing, let's just say, but I love Hocus Pocus, so I'm a little bit undecided about this one, to be honest. Fade into Hue is one of my favourite rainbow colour stories. This is absolutely stunning, and although it does have 3 more of the pressed glitter type of shades, these are the best pressed glitters I've ever tried. Like, I don't typically use them, I don't like them, but the ones in this palette, if you're just going to dab them over the lid, look stunning. And still, I love this palette, so I'm definitely keeping it. And then we have the Pokemon and Colourpop palette, and the fact that this is called Palette Town, absolutely genius. I love Pokemon, I have always loved Pokemon since I was a child, and look at this, like the shade names, the colours, the artwork. If you are a Pokemon fan, I feel like you're gonna love this palette, and because I am, I do love it, and the quality is quite nice as well, so definitely keeping that. So I just need to decide between these. I think I'm gonna part with the Limoncello palette. And I think I'm going to part with this one because I just don't use it. But it is Hocus Pocus. Oh, it's so difficult. I think I'll hold on to it for another year and see if it survives another declutter. Moving on to Be Perfect. I have the big gigantic palettes from Be Perfect and Stacey Marie. So it's time to go through them. These are quite large to store, and to be honest, I used to use all of these palettes a lot when I did lots of live streams on my channel because they just have so many shades in and it's easy to have this in front of you. This is the XL Pro palette. Now this one does have some highlighters down the side. I'm not a fan of having highlighters in a palette, and although it has so many colours in this, like so many, do I need it if I'm going to be keeping the next one, which is the Carnival 3 palette, the Love Tahiti, because this one is my favourite. I feel like I'll keep Carnival 3 and we'll get rid of the XL Pro. I also have the W7 dupe for the Carnival palette, which is the Mardi Gras palette, and I was very impressed with the quality of this one. It is fantastic for the price, and it is a straight up dupe more or less. But because I've got the Carnival 3, I'm going to declutter this one. Then there is the Antidote palette, which is more of a neutral leaning colour story, but still quite colourful, and it's a really nice autumnal colour story. I think I will keep this one. And then we have the Carnival Interstellar palette, which is the newest one that they brought out. And this one does have sort of a grey-black section down here. And the tones, although they're all rainbow palettes, they are a little bit different. So I'm going to keep this one too. So I feel like I'm covered for big colourful palettes with these 3. Moving on to some Glamlight now. It's been a while since I've purchased a Glamlight palette, to be honest, because the shipping is a little bit expensive because they are in the US, but let's go through some of these. I have the Street Taco palette, which is the smaller one, and it is cute because it looks like a taco. I mean, come on. This is actually really good quality. I remember using this. But do I need it? We'll think about the taco. I'm definitely keeping this one. I love this palette. I'm not sure if they still do it anymore. It's the Strawberry Shortcake Berrylicious palette, and the colour story of this, every time I look at it, it's just delicious. Like, absolutely stunning. There's just something about the reds, the berries and the green together. The shimmers are absolutely incredible. It's a fantastic formula. I love this palette. We have the 2 from Scooby-Doo. There's the Rutro Raggy palette, and we have the Creeps and Crawls palette. Fantastic soft touch matte packaging. And this one is a very deep colour story. It's really, really nice quality though. The shimmers are absolutely outstanding in these 2 palettes. And I loved Scooby-Doo, and I still kind of like to watch Scooby-Doo. And I think the colour stories are really nice, so I'm definitely keeping both of those. Then we have the Dirty Martini palette. I mean, how can I resist a green eyeshadow palette? Come on. I mean, as well with the grungy mattes in this, that's tempting to keep. Very, very tempting. The Margarita palette is a little bit less monochromatic and stunning with its colour story. Again, I need to think about that one. Frosted Flakes, I love. It's not called Frosted Flakes in the UK. They're called Frosties, but I'm going to let it slide because the packaging is super cute and the colour story inside. I think orange and blue complement each other so, so well. And again, the formula of this was fantastic. 1,000,000% keeping that. This is the Ice Cream Dream palette from Glamlight, and obviously it's got the sprinkles that move around, and this is the colour story inside. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Oh, I really, really like that colour story. Barbie. Oh, okay. This could be my favourite palette from Glamlight that I've tried. The Dream Summer palette. It's just so pretty. Like the tones in this, stunning. Barbie aesthetic. Yes, it's even got mustards. I love that palette. I don't know if they still do it anymore. Then there's the big Scooby-Doo palette that they did. And this one for me wastes a lot of space. I don't like to see so much dead space. I know why they've done it, because they want to put the characters in between, but the layout for me isn't my favourite. And the fact that we don't have shade names, I'm not sure if that's a licensing issue or not, but I think I'm going to keep this one. I love Scooby-Doo, come on. I'm going to keep the Ice Cream palette. I think I'm going to declutter Dirty Martini, and I'm going to keep Margarita. Oh, we didn't decide about the taco. I think it's time to declutter the taco finally. Moving on to some Sigma. Now, if you don't know, I have a secret passion for Sigma. I mean, it's not all that secret anymore, because I did do a video with some of their new stuff that came out, because they very kindly sent me some PR after me loving them for the longest time. I did think secretly, so it was very interesting to me when they reached out. Now, the packaging, the formula of the shadows, it just feels very expensive and looks to me and very high quality, which is why I really like the brand. So I do have, I feel like I've got another one as well. Where's my other Sigma palette? Yep, I knew I did. I knew I had another one. So we'll start out with the Enchanted palette, which looks like this. The mattes are so rich and pigmented. The shimmers are leaning more towards a traditional type of formula, but that also means that they don't crease in the lid. And I love the quality of the Sigma brushes that come with the eyeshadow palettes, and they are double-ended. I think I'm gonna let go of the Enchanted palette though. The Corda Rosa palette looks like this, and it's so, so pretty. Now, I don't typically reach for a lot of pink palettes, but if I was to, this quality is stunning, so I think I'm going to keep this one. Then we have the Warm Neutrals palette, and it definitely is warm neutrals. Think about this one. Untamed. I love this colour story. Okay, keeping Untamed. The new mod, I keep in its packaging, mainly because it's like a velvety touch material on the packaging of this, and I don't want to get it dirty. And the colour story of this is absolutely beautiful. There's just something about this, considering I usually like bright, intense, crazy eyeshadow colours, there's just something so satisfying and pleasing about this colour story. Keeping the new mod. And then the Spectrum palette, which is the one they very kindly sent to me. Now this is very, very, very neutral. Like extremely neutral. When I did swatch it out though, I did notice differences between the different brown shades. Like some are more yellowy, undertoned and green leaning, some are more pinky, some are more straight up neutral browns. And I think this is the perfect palette for people that love neutrals, because you've got the 5 different shimmers, you've got all of the different undertones of brown that you're going to need, you've got light and you've got depth, and I am going to be keeping that one. We need to decide about warm neutrals though. I feel like I want to keep it. It's pretty. Then we move on to some indie brand goodness. This is Gourmande Girls Cosmetics, that are a US based indie brand, and we'll start out with some of the older palettes first. The Galactic Gourmande palette, which is an all shimmer palette that me and some of my subscribers helped to pick the shades of. Like, look how well used this is. It's a stunning palette and it's very, very shifty. I definitely can't part with this because, like I say, me and some of my subscribers on my live stream helped pick the shades for this, so I'm definitely not parting with it. I don't think it's available anymore. Then we have the Spectra palette, which again is one of the older ones with the older formula, and this is the Colour Story, and because you can't get it anymore and it is on the older side, and it has a cat hair in it, I think. There we go. I think I'm going to declutter this one because I prefer their newer formula that they have now. That Time of the Year palette again is an older one from them. Gorgeous Colour Story, really nice shades, but again, the older formula, so I'm going to declutter this one. Oh, this is one of the newer palettes. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right. Calavera. I'm sorry if I haven't pronounced that right, but this Colour Story and the formula and like the shifty shimmers in this and the unexpectedness of the shifts and the different tones, it's absolutely stunning. Like, look at that bright green. Look at it. Beautiful. Definitely keeping that one. Now, I think this is the first palette I bought from Gourmande Girls, and it's the Sailor Moore palette. I think it was a Valentine's release, and I love the Colour Story of this. This is how I discovered the brand, and this is what made me fall in love with them. But again, it is the older formula, so I am going to declutter it now. Now, these next two palettes are fully shimmer palettes. We have the Ethereal palette. I have done a video swatching all of these out, I believe. I'm not sure if this is available anymore, but I don't typically keep a lot of all shimmer palettes in my collection because I like a palette that's got a bit of everything and I don't need to reach into lots of other things. However, this is absolutely stunning, and because I don't have a lot of all shimmer palettes, I think I'm going to be keeping both of these. This is the Radioactive Colour Story. Like, I'm not going to be able to show you the amazing shifts of these shimmers, but these are both beautiful. This is the Warriors Wear Pink palette, which is a collab palette, and some of the proceeds went to breast cancer survivors, I believe, or charities, and this is the Colour Story inside. Stunning, and I absolutely love this light pink shade because it's called Susie and she is one of my very amazing friends, so that shade is named after her, and there's no way I'm getting rid of this palette because it has my Susie in it. Then we have 4 stunning palettes from the brand. I definitely can't see myself getting rid of any of these. The quality in every single one is amazing. The colour stories are amazing. And these palettes as well, the artwork and everything was designed by Doodles by the Bunny, as well as Gourmande Girls. So, Haunted palette. Ugh. Absolutely beautiful. And the quality is phenomenal. Like, the reason that I decluttered some of the older palettes is because they've come on in leaps and bounds, not only with their formula and colour story choices, but also with the packaging and the artwork. So I love the Haunted palette. Then we have Spooked. You see, this one as well is perfect for sort of Halloween and fall time / autumn if you're British, because you do kind of have, if you sort of cover up like that part, it kind of looks like a nice autumnal neutral palette, but then the other side is very sort of Halloween-y vibes, and I think it's absolutely stunning. Then we have the Silent Night palette. Is this in a sleeve still? Wow, I kept the sleeve. Okay. And Silent Night looks like this. Oh, I need to use this again this Christmas for sure because this one is beautiful. And the Nightshade palette. There's just something about green and purple and the combination of green and purple that makes me so happy, and especially the fact that we have a lilac matte. A lilac matte as well just makes me super happy. And a black. Yeah. Okay, now we have some more indie brand goodness. We have Shroud Cosmetics, which unfortunately I believe they have closed their brand. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe Shroud have now closed their brand, which is really, really sad because I loved the collabs that Batty Bean did with Shroud, and I do have 2 of them here. We have It's Freaking Bats and Hallow Bean. It's Freaking Bats was the first collab that Batty Bean did with Shroud, and like, this is such a stunning colour story that's right up my street. Like, the murky, dirty, yellowy green, the cornflowery leaning blue, the green, the deeper dairy shade. Oh, absolutely stunning. 1,000,000% keeping that one. And this one, I didn't think she could do any better than the previous colour story, but then when I saw this and used it, the quality is stunning, and the orange shimmers in this, like, it's really hard to find good orange shimmers. And this one called Black Flame, should I actually swatch it? I haven't been swatching shades, but I mean, let's just go for it, because these are stunning, like absolutely beautifully stunning. Oh, insane. Then there is the Creepy Cute palette, and this is from when they were called Strobe Cosmetics, so that is how old this palette is, but it is full of pastels and a black, and I think I still want to keep it because, well, you can't get it anymore, and it is a really, really nice palette. Ooh, then we have some from What's Up Beauty. We have the Monsoon palette, we have the Dragon Eye palette, and we have the Geodudes. Geodudes? I have been watching Pokemon. Oh my. Oh my. It's definitely not Geodudes, but it would be so cool if it was. This is the Geodes palette. Look, if you know, you know. If you're a Pokemon fan, come on. Now this one is really pretty. It is shimmer heavy, and I do prefer a matte heavy palette, and the mattes that we have in here are leaning more on the neutral side. So we'll think about this one. I do like the Dragon Eye palette. Like, this one is a little bit more interesting to me because they have the purple mattes, the peach, and we definitely have this gorgeous green shimmer and the blue one. So I'm keeping the Dragon Eye palette. I didn't call it Dragonite, I just wanted to point that out. Oh, this one's stunning as well. Okay, I'm gonna keep those two, and I think I'm gonna declutter the Geodes palette. Then we have another indie brand. This is Singe Beauty, which is a US-based indie brand, and the owner, Angelica Nyqvist, is a beauty YouTuber that I have followed for quite some time. Now, the Galactic Visitor palette was her first release for an eyeshadow palette, and I think the artwork is stunningly beautiful. There is a really nice mirror in this. The colour story is so good. We have so much depth, light and mid-tones, and delicious shimmers, and the shimmer formulas are all a little bit different. Some are a little bit more toppery, some are a little bit more intense and metallic. It is a stunning colour story, and I think fantastic for the first release from the brand. No complaints. Then we move on to the Agate Temptation palette, and this one is bright. It's delicious, it's stunning, it's got greens, it's got orangey yellows, which is definitely huge ticks from me. I love the looks that I did with this palette. They are some of my favourite. Then we have the newest release, which is the Paisley Hoop palette, and it is more on the neutral leaning side. However, if you check out my Instagram and see the looks I did with this, I did a very neutral look, but I also did a look that leans a lot more colourful, which is surprising from this palette. So I feel like this is a really good palette for people that love colour but also want to tone it down a little bit and lean a little bit more on the neutral side. So I just feel like this palette pleases everyone. Also, I would like to point out that this white matte called Shag Rug is probably the best white matte in my collection. Hands down, full stop. The end. Moving on to some Ace Beauté palettes. A really long time since I've bought anything from this brand because they stopped being sold on Beauty Bay, unfortunately, and again, shipping isn't always the best from the US to the UK. It can be quite pricey. So we have the Blossom Passion palette. This is one of the older releases, and it is stunning because it's pink and red, and I love the combination of pink and red together. Then we have the Classical Paradise. Ugh. Such good quality, and the colour story just so up my street. 100% keeping those. Then we have the Envy and the Aura palettes. Envy looks like this. That is some delicious deep matteness going on right there. Oh, I want to use this one again. Now I've seen the colour story and remembered it is there. I want to put it on my eyeballs. This is the Aura palette. A little bit unexpected with the purple with sort of yellowy brown. You can tell that I love like a sicky, yellowy, murky, browny shade like this. It is stunning. The Tropical Vibes palette. I remember me and my makeup friends absolutely losing our minds when we saw this colour story revealed, because we was like, yes, that is the one. The intensity of that chartreuse shade is astronomically gorgeous. There's so many gorgeous mattes in this. Oh, the Palettopoly palette. This was fun, and I want them to do something else like this, or another brand to do something else like this. So this was kind of a game. I still have the game actually somewhere behind me, and it picks your shades for you and the placement for you, and it is so much fun because I did this on a live stream with one of my friends, and she ended up with, I believe it was Mixtape or Grungy in her inner corner, which was absolutely hilarious to have such a deep inner corner, and there's nothing she could do about it. But regardless of whether you're playing it with the game or just using it as an eyeshadow palette, I think it's stunning. Oh. Now we have some palettes from Kaleidos, and I don't buy anything from the brand anymore because everything they tend to release is neutral, barely their kind of makeup, and it's not the aesthetic that they used to do, the packaging they used to do. I don't like the direction that they've gone in. I know some people might love it and prefer it, but for me, it's not my cup of tea. However, these older palettes, absolutely my cup of tea and fantastic. First, we'll talk about the Club Nebula palette, which was the collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. And this is the colour story. I still think it's an absolutely stunning colour story with a really good formula. Super sad that you can't get this one anymore, and it is a jewel in my collection, this palette, to be honest. We also have the Kaleidos Flowerpunk palette. Now, I really liked the idea of this because the artwork on the front, beautiful. It's got the mirror background. And it has a magnetic lid that you can fully remove, like so. And again, the murky, the greeny, but also with the pink and then the mint. I think this colour story, they absolutely smashed. The formula of this one isn't quite up to par compared to the others, but I still enjoy this and I'm still going to keep it, and I just wish Kaleidos was still kind of like that aesthetic. Then I do have 4 of the Futurism palettes. We'll start with number 1, which is the Sci-Fi Green. I love this packaging. This was my favourite from them. It's a soft touch matte with a magnetic closure and it folds, which I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't love the plastic name sheets. I don't think any brand should be having plastic name sheets anymore. We are in 2025. I don't think there's any need for it. It upsets me greatly. But this is the colour story, the grungy greenness. I don't think I'm going to ever declutter these because, like I say, the packaging I love, the colour stories I love. I just wish they still did this type of thing. Then we have the Cyber Bronze, which is probably my least favourite out of the ones that I have because it is more on the neutral side, but still, I wish I had all of them because I am missing, am I missing number 4? I'm missing the lilac one, I know that. I don't know if that's number 4. Then I have the Astro Pink, which is one of my favourites. This colour story's beautiful when I move this plastic out of the way. And then the Electro Turquoise. Ugh, there's just something about like orange and mint together. Okay, moving on to some Natasha Denona, and this is a little bit more of a pricey brand, I'm not gonna lie, but it is really nice most of the time. I don't really think I've ever been disappointed with a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette, to be honest, but there are definitely some palettes that I prefer over others, so you will see why as I talk you through them. So why don't we just start with 2 of my favourites from the brand, and unfortunately I do believe they're discontinued. We have the Circo Loco palette, which is probably the most interesting palette Natasha Denona has released in my opinion, because I do like bright Technicolor shadows and they do have the holes in the back to pop out of the shades. When I saw that Natasha Denona was doing this one, I was like, this is what I have been waiting for, some bright colour. Now I know that's not her usual vibe and she does usually lean more toward the neutral side, so it was really, really nice and exciting to actually see something a bit more colourful. I do think the layout is a little bit jumbled. I know some people have moved the shades around so it makes a little bit more sense and it's a little bit more pleasing to look at, but I never move shades around in a palette just because I like to know what shade is called what, especially if I am using a palette to review or talk about, and then, you know, if I don't know the shade name that I'm using, it's not ideal. But yeah, love that one. The Trio Chrome palette, oh wow. Wow, And wow, again, we actually have some delicious colour in this. Not as bright as the Circo Loco palette, but still really, really nice quality. We do have 3 shimmers in this, and they are duochromes, which I think is a little bit confusing because it's called the Triochrome palette or the Triochrome palette, and they are duochromes, but there are 3 of them. So I mean, you know. We have the Retro palette, which is more on the plummy sort of berry side, and a really nice monochromatic colour story that goes from light to dark, and it has a very nice formula. We have the Zendo palette, which again, a little bit more neutral leaning, but we do have the minty tones. We have the Roxa palette. I still haven't peeled the Peely Mabob. Oh my. Ah. Okay, the Peely Mabob is now stuck on the mirror because it's been there for so long, so I'm not going to attack that and then destroy one of my nails. But this is the colour story, very purpley leaning, but at least we do still have some depth in this one. And then we have the Xenon palette. Again, I should be peeling these. Oh my gosh, they're probably going to be stuck forever now. Never mind. Another monochromatic colour story. The Yucca palette again is one of my favourites because this colour story just scratches that itch of the murkiness and the yellows and the grunginess. Then we have the Love palette, which looks like this. Makes sense for a Love palette to have some, you know, pinks, reds, purples. And then we have the Pastel palette. I love the packaging of this one, the ombre of it. Now, the actual formula of this for pastels is a little bit weak in my opinion. I have better pastels in my collection, and the Bora shade that was the purple is definitely lighter on the eye than it is in the pan, which is very disappointing. So I think formula-wise, this is probably the weakest out of the Natasha Denona palettes in my collection. Then we have 4 of the smaller 5-pan palettes. So this one is the mini Xenon palette. I did show you the bigger Xenon palette. Did I need the bigger one if I had this one? Probably not. But I mean, I do actually reach for this one quite a bit. If I want to do just something a little bit smoky, it's easy to grab that palette. And then this one is the mini Metropolis palette. Browns, beige and green. The mini Triochrome palette. Actually, this was really nice. I did enjoy using this. I think this is a complete colour story for me because we've got the deeper shade, the mid-tone and the light shade, and then the 2 shimmers are light and deep. So I feel like that is definitely a complete little palette for me. And then this is the Mini Crush palette. Oh, and can you believe I actually have a discount code with Natasha Denona, just in case you want to pick anything up from the website, but it still kind of blows my mind a little bit. All of my discount codes should be in the description box down below for any of the brands that I have them with. But yeah, this one's really nice quality as well. I think this one was a Valentine's release. Moving on to some Makeup Revolution. I used to have quite a lot of Makeup Revolution in my collection, but I did declutter a lot in my previous palette collection videos, and this is kind of what I'm left with. And there's nothing really super new. I think this one is the newest one that I picked up from them, and I don't typically like the Makeup Revolution palettes that come in the tin packaging because I feel like the formula is really not as good as this collab palettes. Now you'll see I've kept all of the collab palettes that I have got from Makeup Revolution because, like I say, I do feel like the quality is better. This is the Forever Flawless Astronova, and the only reason I got this to review is because this colour story is one of the best that I've seen from Makeup Revolution. I think it's really nice. It's very aesthetically pleasing to me. Greens, purples, pinks, yellows, a few neutrals. Unfortunately, as much as I love the colour story, I do not like the formula. There were some shades better than others, but I think overall it's very weak compared to a lot of what I've got in my collection. And I am going to be decluttering this one. Now, the others I have kept for a reason, so I'm probably still going to keep them again because, like I say, Makeup Revolution, it is a nice affordable brand, but I do feel like they put their better formulas into their collaboration. So the Corpse Bride palette, for example, which specific one was this? Because there was 2. Okay, I don't think it says. It's just this one, and it opens like that. And there's just something haunting about looking at the blues and the purples in this palette. And this was fantastic quality for Makeup Revolution. I have continued to use this throughout the years and not just keep it sat dusty in my collection. And I still love it. Those blues are ridiculously beautiful. Then we have the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror palette. Again, I do think they put more effort into this one, and I love the brightness of the colour story, and I do feel like it does incorporate the Treehouse of Horror vibe for sure, and I still love this. Definitely staying in my collection. Now, if you didn't know, I love Coraline. It's one of my favourite films, and I can't watch films on repeat. I don't like to rewatch things, but Coraline is one of those ones that I can watch again and again and again. And again, and I really not annoy my daughter with. I'm like, do you want to watch it again? She's like, no. Now this is the Door. I feel like it's the Door palette. Does it actually say anywhere? I feel like I have this conversation every time I get this palette out, and I don't think it has the actual name on it. No, I can't see it, but it's the Door one. I did have the bigger button palette, but I decluttered it because it was huge and the formula wasn't as good as this one. And I love the fact that we've got a shade called YB. And again, nice quality from Makeup Revolution. Is it the best formula in my collection? No. But I mean, it's affordable, it's Coraline, it's cute, and it definitely does still work. Then this one was a gift from a friend. It's the Joey palette. I also love Friends, and this one was so surprising to me. Like, this shade Mary Angela is so pigmented and beautiful and easy to blend out. And I love the shade Bamboozled in this as well. I think it is a really nice palette. Beetlejuice. Okay, I was keeping this one more for the packaging because the pans in this, although they're amazing because they look like beetles and it's on theme, they're very, very small. It was nearly impossible to swatch this, let me tell you. I don't think the formula of this one is very good at all, to be honest with you. So I think now is the time I am actually going to declutter it. This is Makeup Obsession, which is one of the sister brands of Makeup Revolution, and it's Black is the New Black palette. Like, I got this for £4 from Boots, I believe. I don't know if you can still get this, but if you can, this is one of the cheapest, best quality, smoky eye, black grey palettes with an interesting deeper red shade that I have ever got. The quality of this is so good for the price. So yeah, it's survived in my collection for a very, very long time. Then we have the palette, which is The School for Good and Evil. And this was a gift from a friend because I love this film. And these are the two sides for the colour stories. And of course we have the good side and the not so good side. Again, beautiful. It's unfortunate it does have a pressed glitter in this, but I think they did the packaging really well. And again, this was a gift from a friend, so I'm 100% keeping this palette. Okay, we're going to be moving on to some Odens Eye cosmetics, and I have a lot of palettes from Odens Eye. I was buying them a very, very long time, and then they very kindly started to send me some PR and gave me a discount code. Where do I begin? Should we start with the older palettes first? I can't see myself decluttering anything from Odens Eye because I just love the brand so much. The owner is from Sweden, but I believe the palettes ship out from China. A lot of their palettes are based on Norse mythology. I love their packaging. I think it's all very aesthetic and beautiful. Their formulas are really nice as well. They do have some more emollient shimmers in their palettes, which we will see, and can be prone to a little bit of creasing or harder to pick up on a brush. But overall, I just absolutely love Odens Eye. And this is the Erd eyeshadow palette. This is definitely one of the old ones. Don't think you can get this one anymore. And of course it's got greens. It's a little bit on the deeper side. I love it. It's stunning. Definitely loving keeping this in my collection. And then we have the Alva 2 Mini Forest palette. And this is the inside. A little bit more on the neutrally side, but with pops of blue. Then we've got the Alva 2 Mini Ocean palette. Makes sense that there's blue in this one if it's for the Mini Ocean. Oh, I love the next one. This one is the Saga of Freya Chapter 1 Tears of Freya palette. You can see I keep a lot of the outer packagings of the Odens Eye stuff because it's just so pretty. And the inside looks like this. It opens like a book. It's got a nice circular mirror. I really never ever want to swatch the Tia shade because it's like a zebra print in the pan and it's just beautiful. I wish they still did a few more bits that look like this and this sort of aesthetic and opening like a book, because it's something that I really enjoy from them. This is the Saga of Freya palette, and this is definitely more like a book because we have one side that is more warm leaning berries and brownie neutrals, and then on the other side we've got more of a brighter colour story, which obviously I'm drawn more to this side because there is green but also that pop of orange. Cat with Golden Carriage Cat Breath palette. I mean, anything that's cat related I'm a fan of. I love cats, so the colour story again, we've got the mints with the orange, another zebra-y shade, and come on, it's super cute, it's vibrant, and it's got a cat on the front. What's not to love about that palette? Then I have 3 of the collab palettes. These 2 are upside down. These are collabs that they did. So the first one is with Judy. Is this in an outer sleeve? It is. It's just super snug. There we go. Now, Judy did a more neutral leaning colour story, although there is some, you know, colour in there. Absolutely stunning quality. I love all 3 of these palettes, but I think I've got my favourite as the bottom one, yeah. So the Hummingbird palette was with Tina from the Fancy Face, and look at this bright delicious colour story. Now this one does have quite a lot of shimmers in it compared to mattes, but still an absolutely stunning palette. And then, like I say, my favourite of the 3 of these collabs that were launched at the same time is the Giant Wolves palette from Annette, in Annette's makeup corner, because oh, incredible. And the shade down here called Eternal is so pretty and beautiful. Are we gonna have to swatch this one? I was doing really well not swatching very many shades, but now here we are doing the swatching. Okay, then we have another 3 of the collab palettes that Odens did. So this one is Makeup Just for Fun Flora Story palette. And oh, I remember this absolutely delicious colour story. I did do a look with all 3 of these palettes on my channel. I do believe I have an Odens playlist if you want to check it out. I should have for quite a few of the brands that I review a lot of, but purples and greens, a big fan of that one. Then we have the Sea Talk palette, which was with Lauren. And the colour story in here, look at that electric kelp shade, that nice bright sort of yellowy chartreusey shade. Really pretty palette. And then the Planet Spirit palette, which is the collab with Batty Bean. And actually, I didn't think I was going to like this one as much as the other 2, but this one ended up being my favourite out of the 3 because the look I did was so bright and intense and beautiful. And the shimmers in this one, especially this shimmer here and this shimmer here, are so pretty and shifty. So yeah, absolutely love that one too. Such a shame that these collab palettes have to be limited edition because they were amazing. Then we've got the Alva 2 palette. And this is what the inside looks like. Now, I don't reach for this one a lot because it does have 2 pressed glitters in this one, and I'm not a fan of pressed glitter. It is super cute. I probably do need to use it. Then we have the Alva palette. I think this is the oldest palette from them I have in my collection. Very neutral leaning, but we do have those nice yellows. And this is more of the older formula that they had, but still a good formula, just not as stunningly amazing as the newer of the formulas that they are bringing out. Then we have the Norns eyeshadow palette, which is a bit of an interesting colour story for me because it's very, very deep. If you look at the mattes, it's very difficult to think of an eyeshadow look incorporating these mattes unless you're doing sort of a deep smoky eye all over, because usually I like to have some light mattes in a palette just for some options, but the 4 shimmers on the bottom row are absolutely gorgeous in this one. So, so stunning. Again, I'm not sure if they re-released the Norns palette now I come to think of it. Oh yes, did you really think we was going to be over with the Odens yet? Absolutely not. Like I said, I've been buying them for a real long time. So we have the Jewels and Gem palette. I'm not sure if this is still available, but I loved when they brought this out because although it is more neutral leaning, it is an interesting colour story for sure, and they have come on in leaps and bounds with their formula, and this one for sure is definitely a fantastic formula. Like, their mattes are really pigmented and blendable and gorgeous, and as you can see, there's light midtones and depth in this palette, and different shimmer formulas, some more toppery, some more straight up metallics, and some that are a little bit shifty. So that is a stunning one. Then at the same time, they did bring out the Stone and Rock palette, which for obvious reasons when I open this is more my preferred colour story out of the two, because this is high up in the ranking of my Odens eye palettes. I actually probably need to film an Odens eye palette ranking, considering that I have so many, but this is a stunning palette with amazing quality. I really hope that's still available. Okay, then we have, I really struggle to pronounce this correctly. I mean, I would call it Solmane, but I think it's more Solmoon. I don't know. We have these two palettes. I think the first one to come out was this one. Then there was the Moonwish palette that followed it. So these are the colour stories. This one is like, it's kind of like a rainbow palette, but not fully rainbow. And I think the colours are really interesting. Really nice undertones and absolutely delicious shimmers. And then this was the Moonwish palette. Gorgeous purples and blues. Then we move on to the Eternal Twilight palette, which is the first palette that they brought out that is this size. It's actually quite a big palette for Odens eye. And inside we have two different colour stories, but joined together in one bigger palette. And I loved the looks that I created with this palette. It is fantastic quality, would 100% recommend. There are some more flaky type shades in this, like this shade called Boulder is so flaky and speckled with different colours and looks insane when you mix them all together and swatch them out and use them. Like, it is so shifty and shiny. It is beautiful. The matte's super pigmented and gorgeous, and I like the fact that we have sort of the deeper colour tone side and then the warmer tone side, and they're sort of separate but also in the same palette. I love that. Okay, on to the next stack. I think these two palettes that were the Christmas limited edition palettes are two of my favourites from Odens eye for sure. They are amazing. The colour stories are spectacular. So the Christmas Eve palette, inside this is the beautiful colour story, and I think it's really nice for winter time. To be honest, anytime. I don't really stick to specific colour stories for different times of year. I just use whatever I want to use when I want to use it. But yeah, that one is so beautiful. Then the Merry Christmas palette looks like this, which that gorgeous light green here and this Elf Wish shimmer, stunning. Even the orange in this and even the pink, a little bit unexpected. It's leaning very traditional, but also with that pop of orange and pink, it's just something a little bit extra special. So I love those two so much. Then we have the Rosy Jingle palette. And this is the colour story. Now this is more on the lighter side and brighter side for Christmas, and I prefer the previous two that we talked about, but this is still a stunning colour story. I think it's just more of a preference thing. And then we have the collabs that Odens eye did with Angelica Nyqvist. So we have the Hella palette, which was the first collab they did with Angelica, and of course I was going to love this palette. I mean, greens, yellows, we have depth in here, and this Rebirth shade is absolutely amazing in the inner corner. I love a light pastel inner corner. It just makes me so happy, and I think this palette is very versatile, and I loved when she brought that out. I think they did bring this one back for a period of time. I'm not sure if it's still on the website, but I know that they did bring it back because people were asking for it. And then we have the Trick or Treat palette and the Little Ghost palette that Angelica did for Halloween. I think that was last year. Was that 2024 or was it 2023? I have no concept of time anymore. But the Little Ghost palette looks like this. Extremely bright, vivid, colourful shadows, which just makes me smile. Like those blues with that yellow. Scrumptious. And then the Trick or Treat palette. Again, look at those bright greens. Look at that orange. Like, you can tell the shades that I gravitate towards and the colour stories that I like, because I have a lot of shades like that in my collection because they're just so pretty. I think those collab palettes are fantastic. Oh, I missed a Christmas palette over here, the Silvery Bliss palette. And this is the colour story. This is just so Christmas. So Christmas. It just reminds me of big red velvet bows, and I'm going to have to remember to use this Christmas time because that is absolutely beautiful. Looking at this again and remembering how much I enjoyed using this. Oh. Then Odens, I did a collab with Morgan Turner, and it's the Love Language palette, which was a Valentine's release, and it is very, very Valentine's colour story themed with the purple and the pink and a bit of neutral as well. Then they brought out 4 season palettes. So obviously we've got summer, spring, winter and autumn, and I did a separate video on all 4 of these palettes if you want to see the swatches and the close-ups and the looks that I did. So the summer palette has got blues in it and looks like this. I still maintain to me that that is more of a winter colour story, but some people do think it is more summer than winter. Regardless, I think it's a stunning palette. We have the spring palette, which I thought actually was probably the most versatile of the 4, and it surprised me the most because I thought I was going to like this one the least, but in fact I probably like this one either best or second best, and oh, that shade is beautiful. We have the winter palette, which was actually my least favourite of the 4, just personal preference for colour story, I think, to be honest. And then we have the autumn palette, which again, one of my favourites out of the 4 because anything autumn and anything with grungy greens, I mean, how many times can I mention the grunge? Then Odens came out with another brand. I feel like it's either a sister brand or the same owners, I can't quite remember, but the brand is called By Us, and this is their first palette, and it's called the Garden Busters palette. Again, I did review this on my channel. It's definitely different from the Odens brand. As you can see, the difference between aesthetics is quite different. This one just feels more fun in general, like the vegetables on the front with the little faces, the bright colours and the thicker packaging. And then inside, because obviously it's garden themed, we have the different shades. Now, the pans are interesting choices. We do have some squares and then some pentagons. And the shimmers in this are very, very squishy, a little bit difficult to pick up. I don't think it's the same formula that Odens actually use for their palettes because it feels a little bit different to me. I think when I reviewed this, I remember thinking it was fun and it just felt like playing with colour. I think I prefer Odens as a brand, but this was a little bit of fun. And for a first palette, I mean, I'm glad I tried it. Let's move on to a little bit of Huda Beauty, shall we? So I have the Python palette here, which was a 9-pan, I believe. And it was my favourite of these 9-pans that she brought out at the time, just because of the colour story. And I actually really like this palette. I think it's a nice, cute little palette that I can do a complete look with. So that one's nice. Then the Jaguar palette as well is really nice for just a nice smoky eye. It's something a little bit neutral. It's got, I mean, the middle shimmer is probably the one that stands out to me the most. I could more or less take or leave the others, but those 2 are cute. I also have the Rose Quartz palette as well. I'm not typically a pinky leaning girl or neutrally leaning, but there's just something about this palette that I really like. There's just something about the aesthetic. I think it's the packaging as well that's like the kind of that sort of see-through-y packaging. And yeah, it's just such a pretty palette to look at. It's not my favourite formula in the entire world, but I think it is a nice formula. Then we have the Mercury Retrograde palette, which was actually, I think, the first palette I tried from Huda Beauty, and I will always love this palette because, again, the aesthetic, the packaging, it is a really pretty, pretty colour story. Moving on to some ABH, I do have the big Norvina palettes. Yeah, these are big and bulky, and I loved the packaging at the time that I was buying these, and now I just think, oh, it's so big and bulky, it takes up so much room. It's a little bit annoying, if I'm honest. So we'll start out with this one. This is a volume 2. For a colour lover, you can't be mad at that colour story. I don't think the shimmers are the best in the world. I don't think the mattes are the best in the world either. I also don't think they're really bad quality either. So, I mean, it's okay. Then I have volume 3, which is stunning, and it just screams autumn to me, this palette, to be honest, but it's also still bright and vibrant and colourful. This palette did have an accident long ago, and I had to press this shade back in with my finger and smoosh it in, which is a shame because it's the nicest shimmer in the palette. Then we've got volume 4, which does have a pressed glitter, which again makes me a little bit sad. It's oh, 2 pressed glitters down here. We don't need pressed glitters. Pinky, I mean, I like the pop of yellow in that at least, but yeah, it makes me sad that there was 2 pressed glitters in that. Then the purple one, what number was that? That is volume 5. I do love me a purple eyeshadow, I'm not gonna lie, and it does look really nice next to the brown. There is 1 pressed glitter in this, so I mean, at least there was only 1. And then the most recent one was the volume 6, which I love the packaging of this. I remember the look I did with this and I loved it. Again, unfortunately it has 2 pressed glitters and only 2 shimmers in this palette, but I mean, I do like a matte heavy palette. I do think the D row could have been edited a little bit better because a lot of those shades would look the same on the eye, but we have some depth in this one as well as the bright pops. I really wish those pressed glitters weren't in there. I need to stop talking about pressed glitters, don't I? Yes, yes, Kerry. Then we move on to one of my favourite indie brands. Can you guess what it is? Of course, it's Cosmic Beauty or Cosmic Brushes. I think they are still in the middle of a name change. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I have every palette that the brand has released. Some I've bought myself, some I've received in PR. I do have a code with Cosmic. I love them. There is not one palette that I don't like. Every shadow that I've tried is fantastic quality and I rave about them constantly on my channel. I do have a Cosmic Brushes playlist in case you want to check it out, and yeah, I just love them. So let's go through the palettes because these are stunning. So the Gothic palette is the smallest one that they have brought out and it is a 12 colour palette. And as you've guessed, because it's called Gothic, it is a little bit gothic-y leaning. We have some purples in here, some delicious tones. We have a gorgeous black matte with sparkle, some shifty shades, some toppery shades. Everything about Cosmic literally just makes me so happy. Some of these palettes you can still buy, some of them are discontinued. I think you can still get Gothic. I think Sinister is now discontinued. And this was a Halloween release. This is what the colour story looks like inside. We do have a fantastic ghost shade in here. I did put the plastic back over just to protect it, and it's like a wet look consistency, so you can put it on top of any other shade and it'll make it sort of look glossy, which I thought was a fantastic, innovative thing to put in a palette. So yeah, that one's cute. Then we have 'Tis the Season, which was 2024's Christmas palette, I believe. I love this for a Christmas palette. It's so pretty. The cranberry shade is a ridiculous multi-crime. Like, I could go on about these palettes all day long, and I really should not because this will already be a really long video. Then we have the Undergrowth palette, which is just green heaven, to be quite honest. I love the variety of greens in this and the different undertones of the greens, as well as the more clayey shades towards the bottom row. Then we have the 2 more neutral leaning palettes. We do have neutrals, and I've actually hit pan. I never hit pan in really any eyeshadow palette because I don't want to hit pan. I want to keep my eyeshadow palettes nice and pristine looking and as unused as possible. But the shade Chic I use in my inner corner all the time if I use this palette. And if I am doing a neutral look and I'm not filming, this is the palette that I usually gravitate towards. And although it's neutral, it's still an interesting neutral colour story. And then there is Cooltrals for the people that like the cool tone neutrals, which I always prefer a warm tone neutral. So I don't reach for this one as much as neutrals, but still an absolutely stunning colour story, and still we do have a little bit of colour in here despite it being more of a neutral palette. Then we have the Muse palette. I think this one is being discontinued. I'm not sure if there's any left, but again, this one screams autumn to me, but I would use it all year round. I think it's delicious. Winter Wonderland is probably my favourite colour story from Cosmic Beauty, and that's interesting because there's no actual greens in it, but the quality and the specific tones of purple and blue and blur purple and even the sort of tealy aquary shades are just love this palette. The looks that I did with this are probably some of my favourite I've ever done. The Winter Solstice shade is asking me to swatch it, so that's what I'm gonna do. Incredible formula, incredible colour stories, amazing price points, UK indie brand, delicious delights. Just look at this colour story. Oh my gosh, now do I have to swatch sprinkles too? Because that is a ridiculous multi-chrome. I'm not sure how well it's going to be picking up on camera, but it's insane. And again, another stunning colour story. Everyone kind of reaches for this sort of spring summertime. Then I have the Royal Rose palette, which is the first palette that the brand released. And this is kind of the unicorn palette for Cosmic Brushes lovers, because a lot of people fell in love with the brand when this was already discontinued. And a lot of people want this palette. And I am super lucky that I managed to buy one before they discontinued it. And this is the colour story inside. Now the formula has moved on since this, however this is still a ridiculously amazing quality palette, and I'm so glad that it's in my collection. We have Serenity, which is actually the first palette I bought from the brand, and this is the reason that I fell in love with Cosmic Brushes, because this colour story is a bit of me. If I was to put a colour story together, you better believe it would be something like this, especially with that pop of orange. Some people might think, why is the orange there? I love that orange. The green sorbet shade is one of my favourite mattes from the brand. It's so stunning. Awake as well. I love a shade like Awake and Pixie. Okay, yeah, this is probably up there with the Winter Wonderland palette for me. It's such a good palette. We have the Smolder palette, and this is what it looks like. This is more neutral and smoky eye leaning. We have the Lovers palette, which is the first palette that they brought out that's the other way around. So all of the palettes up to this point have opened horizontally, but the Lovers palette is the other way up and opens vertically, but they can still be stored. They're exactly the same size and shape, just for people that like that on their shelves. And then inside this is the absolutely beautiful toned down colourful palette. We have Starlight Society, which is, I believe, limited edition, but available currently as I'm filming this. And look at this beauty. I love the fact that we've got such depth in this, but also some light pastels. Incredible palette. And then we have the Death palette, which is currently the newest palette that they have launched at the time that I am filming this. And this is the colour story inside. Now, for the people that missed out on the Sinister palette and the reds and the purples that was in that, you might be able to pick this one up instead and scratch that itch in case you wanted it and you can't grab it anymore. Okay, we're going to be moving on to some peel-aways. Have I grabbed it all? I feel like this is everything. I keep trying to declutter as much as I can every time I do this from peel-aways, because as you can see, a lot of the palettes here are very bulky and they take up a lot of room, which is not fun. I used to love this packaging. I used to think, fantastic, the bigger the better. Now my collection is so large and I just want to be able to reach for a palette easily. Like, this is not easy to store. These palettes are just chunky and like, I don't know where to begin. Where do I begin? Okay, well, we'll do the Worldy palette first. So yeah, the sand still moves, and inside, if I can open it, gosh, these pans are huge, humongous. I mean, I loved this colour story when I picked it up. Have I got this colour story a million times over in smaller, more easy to access packaging in better formulas? Yes, so I'm finally, after I don't know how many years I've had this palette, I'm finally going to declutter the Worldy palette. Yeah. I have the Blend Away 2022 palette here, and it's interesting because inside it says 2023 on all of the little pans. This is, again, a huge palette, and I feel like I have a lot of these shades, so I am going to declutter this one also. And then this palette, did I get this one? I feel like I got this in one of the Peel-Aways advent calendars. I only bought one, and it was a really nice one. I can't remember the shape of it. It wasn't the train. I can't remember what year I got it, but this was the palette that came with it. And I think this one is really nice because it is neutral, but it does have the brighter oranges and the depth, the light shades, the different shimmers. It's a pretty palette. Am I going to be reaching for this? Probably not. So I think I'm going to declutter this one as well. I also have this, which is Babe, You're a Slice of Perfection, and it looks like a pizza slice, which is very Glamlight-esque. And the colour story inside is really nice, actually. It is a very interesting colour story that's not just neutral and boring. I don't know what I'm going to do with that one yet because it is an awkward shape. We'll think about that one. We'll think about it. Right, I have 3 gigantic palettes that are in this style, so we'll go through these. I have the Chill palette, which, is this the blue colour story? Yeah. Now, my issue with these is I hate storing them, but the colour stories and the quality of these palettes are fantastic. Oh, when I can get the drawer out. There, is it all in camera? Can we see all of this? Like, the colour stories, stunning. Absolutely stunning. If it wasn't in this packaging, this big, bulky, crazy packaging, I wouldn't even second guess it. I'd be like, yep, staying in my collection 100%. But it makes me question it because it's such big packaging. But looking at the colour story again, I can see why I have kept this and not decluttered it. So unfortunately, oh no, I'm going to have to keep the gigantic packaging because it's so beautiful inside. And I think it's going to be the same for the other 2 palettes because how can I declutter the one that is green? This is the Money Shot palette. And again, a shame about the big packaging because the actual colour stories, let me see if I can open this easily, like, look at these colour stories. Like, the drawer in this is my favourite for sure. Oh, it's such a shame that they are so difficult to store. And the purple one is just as beautiful as well. This is A World Full of Wonder. Does my light still work? Oh, that flashed up for a second, but oh yeah, yeah? Okay. Okay, beautiful and purple, but again, the drawer is my favourite. Because look at those purples. Oh. Yeah, okay, I'm going to have to keep the gigantic packaging. Right, we'll move on to a few of the love tapes. So I have Under the Mistletoe, which I think was a limited edition for Christmas, and I really like this colour story actually. It is a nice little Christmas palette. I want to keep that one. Going Solo is more of a smoky eye, grey, black leaning palette. I don't think Ring Off is a full black. I think it's more of a deep charcoal. I'll think about that. Smoke is just brown. We can get rid of that one. What is this? Oh, did I get these in the advent calendar as well? Magical Memories. Okay. Yeah, decluttering both of those. Then we have some Stack 'em Up palettes. I really love the quality of these actually. I think they are phenomenal quality and they're easy to store. So we have, what's this one called? Smoney Tones, I think. And it is the pink monochromatic palette. We have Health is Wealth, which is the green version. We have Back Yourself, which is the orangey yellow. Ooh, we also have CEO 000. This one is my favourite. Even though green is my favourite eyeshadow colour, the different tones of purple in this, the warm and the cold, so pretty. And then Talk is Cheap, which is the blue and a little bit of a purpley tone in the corner. Again, really like that one. I think I'm going to keep all of these because, like I say, I love the quality. They're easy to reach for. I like the monochromatic colour stories because they're not too monochromatic, if you know what I mean. Then we have this one, which is You Give Me Butterflies. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, that's so pretty. That's so pretty. Wait, Stack 'em Up and butterflies. Am I just keeping the same thing again? I pretty much am, aren't I? Okay, we'll get rid of the butterflies and I'll keep the Stack 'em Up. Oh, more big bulky palettes. We've got the Hocus Pocus palette. Now, this is when P. Louise actually branched out instead of doing a lot of neutral leaning palettes, and she did something crazy and amazing for Halloween. Did they need to be this size, this bulky? No, but they do resemble a book, which is really nice. It does have the little lock and key, but I never do it because I can't be bothered to open it if I want to reach for this palette. Inside, when I can open the magnet, like, this is fantastic colour story wise for P. Louise. It's something that she considered not releasing because it's not really her aesthetic, but for me this is my aesthetic all over, the purples and the greens, 100,000,000%. So obviously that's why I have kept it for so long, even though it's got such bulky packaging. Now this side I could take or leave it, to be honest. I'm probably keeping this one for the other side, but yeah, bulky packaging. Then we have Aligning My Future, which is basically a palette of pastels. And I think it could have been edited down because I think so many of these are going to look the same on the eye. However, they are good quality pastels. So pretty. Don't know what to do about that one. That can go in the don't know what to do pile. Then, A Droplet of Magic. Again, another Halloween one. Very cool toned this side. And then on this side, you know what, I'm going to declutter this one because I prefer the other one. Then we have Watch the Queen Conquer palette. Again, this was innovative for P. Louise because it actually, if you open the palette out, is a chessboard in the middle. Now, it would have been 10 times better if she'd have actually sold the palette with chess pieces, because I like to play chess. And if the palette actually stayed, oh my gosh, casualties. And if the palette stayed actually flush to the table because the sides pop up, I like the thought behind it. I just think if you're going to do this and create a chessboard, please give us the option to buy the chess pieces for it and make the palette super flat so we can actually play chess on it, should we want to, you know? But the first side, pink and purple, and the second side, reds, greens and yellows. And I've always said how much I love this quality and this formula. There are a few people that didn't like this quality and formula, and I'm not sure if there was a difference in palettes or whether it's just a preference thing, but I actually really like this palette, so I think I'm going to keep this one. So now we just need to decide out of these three. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the pastel one. It's too big and bulky and I have pastels. The Going Solo, again, getting rid of that. Baby or a Slice, getting rid of that. Okay, Nomad Cosmetics are a US-based indie brand and they base all of their palettes on destinations. And I have been collecting their palettes for such a long time. I have a lot of them. I love them. They are fantastic quality. We're going to go through them and I'm not going to be decluttering anything because I love Nomad. So, actually, we'll start out with my least favourite palette from them. The only one that I had a little bit of issue with when it comes to the formula, unfortunately. So this was a Christmas release and it's the Santa's Village palette. And inside, it's a gorgeous 9-pan. And I love what they was trying to do with this because I think a smaller palette for Christmas, beautiful. I like the colours chosen for this. I love the packaging. It was just the shimmers. The mattes are fantastic quality, but the shimmers are very hard pressed, extremely difficult to work with, to pick anything up to put on the eye. It is doable, but it's definitely not easy. So it was a little bit of a shame that that was a formula issue for that one. But yeah, I still keep it because I absolutely love Nomad. And like I say, the mattes in this one are beautiful. I also have some of the discontinued ones. This is the Iceland Fire and Ice palette. As you'll see, all of these palettes, because they're based on destinations, will sort of encapsulate the destination from the colour story, so it matches beautifully. And they usually give a portion of their profits to a charity in the specific region that they're basing their palette on. So this is the Fête de Provence palette. And again, look at this colour story, it's so stunning. It does scream French at me, this colour story. It is beautiful. Then we have the Tokyo palette, is that what it's called? Yes. And this has got some pastels in it. I think this is more of the older formula. I'm not sure that they do this palette anymore. The middle row are satins, the bottom row are shimmers, and the top row are mattes. Cartagena Magica? I do apologise if I pronounce any of the palettes from Nomad Cosmetics wrong, because yeah, they've got some more of the difficult names that I don't usually have to pronounce, but what a fiery, beautiful colour story. Then we have Hudson Valley, which is the epitome of an autumn palette. Ridiculously beautiful, 3 shimmers down the middle. Then we have the Okavango Safari palette, which is like a soft touch palette, and cool toned neutrals and greens, and it does have a zebra-y shade. I think the first palette I got from Nomad was this one and another one I'm going to talk about soon. I ordered 2 together. So this one is the Whistler Snow Lodge. Oh, and this colour story, again, just rich, beautiful gorgeousness. This is the Fuji 5 Lakes palette, and it's all sort of raised and textured, which feels amazing. I love the way that they do their packaging a little bit different every time. And that is the colour story of this one. Then we have the Royal Europe palette, which was very kindly gifted to me, and this one is lots and lots of card built on top of each other, so it's like a 3D effect, and it looks fantastic. Now in this one, it is definitely royal because we have 5 extremely shifty multi-chromes at the bottom and a lot of jewel tones. Such a rich, delicious colour story. We have the New Zealand Stargazing palette. Like, I love the way that they put the colour stories together to fit the destination, and also the way that they think of the packaging for each different release. So we also have, what is this? The Après Ski palette. Oh, yeah, I remember using this. This is perfect as well for this time of year. I definitely want to stick this on my eyeballs. We have more of a princessy palette here. Ooh, ooh. I just had to run off and answer the door, so I'm back. This is the Fairy Tale Europe palette. Now, the packaging of this is beautiful, and although this is a shimmer heavy palette for me, and the mattes are neutrals, the reason that I had to pick this up is because not only is this Disney feeling to me, it has some absolutely stunning shades of shimmers, and I couldn't bring myself to miss out on this one from Nomad because I'm all about the fairy tales. So this one is the Keys Beachy and Peachy palette, and as you can imagine, bright, vivid, colourful colour story inside with some pastels as well. Then we have the Verona. This is the Amore Morte palette, and it opens with 2 halves because we have 2 different colour stories on each side. We have the very red, pink, warmer colour story, and then we have the cool tone side as well. The mattes in this are incredible. The shimmers aren't my favourite formula. It's kind of leaning similar to the hard pressedness of the first palette I showed you from Nomad, but definitely not as hard pressed and still workable. Then we have the Island Wild Atlantic Way palette, which is sort of a velvety material, and the greens in this, and the fact that there's a shade called Ring of Kerry, because Kerry is a place in Ireland, if you didn't know, and I definitely want to visit. This was the first palette I picked up from Nomad along with the Whistler Snow Lodge, and this is the Paradise Islands palette. Woo! And I'm dropping it. And the colour story of this one, oh, it just makes me so happy. It's like summer. It is so tropical. You can see why I wanted to pick it up. Ghost Town USA, and it has the lenticular motion on the front, and inside more of a cool toned colour story with some neutrals in there as well. The Orient Express I keep in its box because I believe this one as well is more of a velvety texture palette. Yeah, I mean, look how posh that one looks. I don't think this one is available anymore. I just think they hit the theming so well. The Cloud Forest Monteverde palette, one of my favourites, and it's a predominantly green colour story if you swatch it out, especially with the shimmers, but then also some very bright, vibrant pops of other colours. It's amazing how many cat hairs get inside my palettes. Like, I'm not quite sure how my little fluffy cat manages that, unless he's doing his eyeshadow when I'm not around. Then we have another one with lenticular motion. This is the Witch City Salem palette, which is a newer one in my collection, and I think it's an absolutely stunning colour story for autumn, Halloween, fall time. Now, the last one I haven't actually filmed with yet. This is their newest release, and I don't actually know if I can pronounce this. What is this actually supposed to be called? Yeah, I'm not even going to try to butcher the name of this palette, but that's where the location is. You can read it for yourself. And the colour story of this is very, very traditional Christmas vibes. And I can't wait to film with this, do looks with this. It does have a lot of shimmers in this palette. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mattes, but I'm excited to dive into it, see what I can do, come up with a Christmassy look, because I couldn't miss out on this. Like, come on, it's beautiful. I have a lot of Beauty Bay palettes. I definitely like to collect them and review them, especially the limited edition 20 pan eyeshadow palettes. So I will keep all of the 20 pans together that are the limited edition so that I can go through those. Okay, let's start with the Mini Charms 9 colour palette, which was a fairly recent one from Beauty Bay. Again, we have the plastic with the names printed on, which not necessary. Like, if you need to do this, just don't name them. But I did like this, and I do think some of the shades are nice as highlighter. Not the best shimmers in the world, but super pretty, and some very, very shifty shades, and it's nice to see Beauty Bay branching out and doing something else. The Metamorphic palette, the 16 colour palette that opens in 2 halves, very, very cool toned. I'm trying not to blind you with the packaging. Very, very shimmer heavy. I definitely don't think I need this in my collection any longer, so I'm gonna declutter the Metamorphic. We have some of the bigger ones from Beauty Bay. So we do have the bright, should we start out with the bright matte and then go to the 2.0? That would make more sense, wouldn't it? So the bright matte palette is one of the first I got from Beauty Bay, and as you've guessed, it is a fully matte palette because it's called bright matte. Clever, right? And it is a rainbow palette, and I do like the quality of this. And I definitely think I'm going to keep this one. The 2.0, I've definitely used a lot less, but this one does have some shimmers in it. And although, again, it's a rainbow palette, they are slightly different tones. I'm going to think about that one. I love the earthy palette. I think they brought these back recently, or did they just bring the Midnight palette back maybe? I'm not sure. But this is the 42 colour palette that was the earthy. And I love this because it's not just monochromatic green. We also do have some clay shades and some sort of red tones as well at the bottom, and some neutrals. Fantastic quality, and I love this. I think I swatched all of these out. The earthy, the Midnight, and the pink one. What was the pink one called? Yeah, my arm was just covered in absolute deliciousness. The Midnight palette, which, yeah, I feel like they brought back recently. This has got purples, blues, and blurples, so it's just absolute heaven. The Jade palette, that I don't even know why I got this. I think it must have been in a sale because I haven't really reached for this, to be fair. I mean, it is a pretty colour story. And I keep keeping it and saying I'm going to use it, and then I don't really seem to use it, but that is really nice. Which one is better out of the Jade and the 2.0? Am I even getting these in shot? Like, which one are we preferring? I actually think I prefer the Jade one, which is interesting, which is this side. But I actually use this one more. Maybe I'll keep both. Maybe. Then we have the Rich palette, which is very, very neutral, but actually a really pleasing neutral palette. And if you are a neutral lover and you like Beauty Bay's formula, I would really recommend this palette. Then we have the Smoky palette. Not quite sure why I bought this one because I don't tend to gravitate towards greys whatsoever. So I think I'm actually going to declutter the Smoky palette. Okay, then we have the Little Utopia palette. So this has 8 shades and I never ever reach for it. So it's going to have to go. The Tropical palette. Oh, I did actually really like this palette. It does have some nice tones in it, but I feel like I've got these in the other Beauty Bay palettes. I'll think about that one. And then the Berries palette, 16 shades. You can get the bigger version of this, like the Midnight and the Earthy, but it wasn't available at the time I was buying it. So I bought the smaller version. One of the first palettes I also bought from Beauty Bay was the Me, Myself and Mitchell palette. So Made by Mitchell did a collab with Beauty Bay. I'm going to take the mirror out of the middle to not blind you. And this is the colour story inside. The mattes in this are incredible. I'm not keen on the shimmer formula. The only reason I keep this is for the memories, to be fair. Then there's the Nikki Tutorials palette. I'm sure I've said I was going to declutter this before, and for some reason it still ended up in my collection. This is probably one of the weakest eyeshadow palettes that Beauty Bay has done, which is such a shame and such a disappointment for Nikki when she did the collab with Beauty Bay, because the packaging of this is so nice. The idea of opening both sides, yeah. The shimmers save this palette. I don't know what happened with Beauty Bay's matte formula, especially with the shade Amsterdam, but it's just not up to scratch compared to the others. I'm not quite sure why I'm keeping this. Am I keeping this for memories and reference? And I don't quite know at this point. Then we move on to all of the huge stack of £20 limited edition palettes that Beauty Bay have brought out. And yes, I do have them all. I collect them, I review them, and I keep them to look back at for reference and to show you guys and talk about. So let's do exactly that. So I'm going to start with Sunset Horizons, which actually is a beautiful palette, and I wish that Beauty Bay still did their colour stories for their limited edition palettes like the original ones, like this one, because it's actually a good colour story. And as you'll guess by the name of the palette, it does create beautiful sunset eye looks. And I still really enjoy this palette. I do think Beauty Bay's shimmer formula has come on since they brought out this palette, but there are still some beautiful shimmers in this, and the mattes are gorgeous. So that was the first one, I believe. Then was it the Book of Magic next? I'm not going to be able to remember all of these in order, but the Book of Magic sold out quite a few times. It was a very, very popular colour story, and you can see why. It is a touch of magic, literally. Then there's the new Romantic palette, which I brought out for Valentine's Day, and this is the colour story for that one. The black in this one is really good. We also have the Dark Fantasy palette, and yes, it is on the dark side because it says Dark Fantasy, although it does have a white matte and it does have that nice bright green. We also have the Retro Love, which actually was more of one of the interesting colour stories. Swatched out, I preferred this palette rather than looking at it in the pans. It looks beautiful swatched out. We have the Dark Lights palette. The Dark Lights palette, comparing this to the Dark Fantasy, I feel like the Dark Fantasy is interesting. The Dark Lights is just kind of dark. I mean, it has some lighter shades, but can you tell I'm not the biggest fan of this? And it is filled with shimmers. There is very, very little you can do matte-wise in this palette. I wasn't the biggest fan of that colour story, to be honest. Then we have the Desert Haze, which I'm not sure if it was trying to dupe the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette vibes, but not my favourite colour story. This is one of the newer ones. Like, these two, I'm just like, what are you doing, Beauty Bay? We also have the Botanical palette, which is a little bit more interesting. I feel like it could have been, like, a tad more vibrant. A tad. Do you know? We have Celestial Charms. And again, nice. It's pretty. It's on the deeper side. Does have, you know, one light matte. But, again, not the biggest fan of that one. Reckless Romance. I mean, you're either going to love this colour story or hate it. I'm not the biggest of fans, but I don't think it's the worst that they've done. Now, Love Notes, a lot of people had a problem with because they said, where are the mid-tone shades and where are the deeper shades? Like, we're very limited with this palette for deeper shades compared to some of the others. Mid-tone shades, not so much. It's mainly just light shades. And some people like that. I just like more of a variety in depths. The Wilderness palette is probably one of my favourites of the limited editions because it is the most beautiful, versatile, colourful, interesting colour story in my opinion. Like Wilderness, you'd imagine just greens, but the fact that we also have blue, red and orangey browns, oh, lovely, lovely. New Mood, which is one of my least favourite outer packagings. I really do not like that. But the colour story inside is at least nice. Again, I think I prefer this one swatched out as to actually looking at it in the pans. the Daydreamer palette, which looks like this. Again, a little bit of a wishy-washy palette. There's about 5 to 6 shades in this that are matte that will look more or less the same on the eye. Like, what are you thinking? There could have been a lot of editing to this colour story for sure. And then one of the older ones, which is a better colour story because it was an older one, is the Age of Opulence, which is a very opulent, very rich dual tone palette. Oh, I forgot about the Pastels palette. I love this for a little Pastels palette. Not sure if this is available anymore, but this is actually a really nice little companion palette in case you need to dip into a pastel to blend something out or to pop in your inner corner, something like that. So I love this palette. I am definitely keeping that one. Am I keeping the tropical palettes? For now, it survives. I have got now a massive mixture of all sorts of different brands on my table. So I'm going to start out with the Harvest of Souls palette by Fantasy Cosmetica. This is the first palette I picked up from the brand, and it's because the colour story is exactly what I would choose if I was to release a palette, and I was not disappointed with the formula. It's incredible. This palette is everything and more. I need to use this a million more times. I think the amount of grunge mixed with the deeper shades, mixed with the lighter, brighter pastels and the stunning shifty shimmers. I'm so glad this was my first palette from the brand. I love it. Okay, let's move on to MAC. Now, I had never tried MAC eyeshadow until I bought the Stranger Things eyeshadow palettes. Of course I bought them because it's Stranger Things. I'm a sucker for a collab, okay? Now this one is the property of Hawkins, is that what it's called? Hawkins Class of 1986 eye palette, and they do come with illustration, piece of art with it. I mean, this colour story, yes, I can understand what they were doing with Stranger Things, but as an actual eyeshadow palette, it's not the most cohesive of colour stories, and the formula was so disappointing. I didn't know what to expect, but I guess I was expecting great things because it's MAC. Yeah, one of the worst formulas in my collection, to be honest, especially the shimmers. Nothing to write home about. Literally keeping it because it's Stranger Things. And then the other one, what is this called? The Void palette, which resembles the Upside Down. And again, another piece of art and a deeper colour story, which is a little bit more cohesive in this palette, but not my favourite of colour stories. Again, just keeping it because it's Stranger Things. Like, the packaging is really nice. It's just a shame that the eyeshadow quality is definitely not great. We have a random Sugar Drizzle palette here, which is the Pickle palette, because why wouldn't you want an eyeshadow palette that is called Pickle? And on the inside we have some very cute shade names, and it's just a cute little palette. Like, I can't resist a palette that's a little green pickle palette. Come on. I have one palette left from Pat McGrath, and this is because a friend got me this, and I don't really see the hype with Pat McGrath. Please don't cancel me. I know some people absolutely swear by Pat McGrath and the formula and everything. For me, it's just not worth the money, and even if it was cheaper, it's still not my favourite of formulas and aesthetics, to be honest. But I keep this because it is a gift from a friend more than anything else. I'm not the biggest Pat McGrath fan. However, her lip products and her highlight is really nice. But maybe it's just the eyeshadow I'm not the biggest fan of. Next up, we have the Midnight Garden eyeshadow palette from Dreamhouse Cosmetics, and inside this is the colour story. Very, very pretty. I did do a look on my channel with this, I believe. Very shimmer heavy palette, but I think this was the first palette that the brand released, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if they've brought anything out since. Maybe I need to go and check on that. I have one palette left from Juvia's Place. Everything else got decluttered, and this is the Berries palette. And oh, this is the colour story inside, and I think now it is time for me to declutter this. I think the two shimmers in this are very, very similar to each other. And it's nice, but there's no actual light inner corner shade for me, and I don't know why I'm keeping it. I think I kept it because it was the only thing I owned by them at that point, but now it's time to declutter this. Moving on to Morphe. I bought these this year and I was very disappointed with both of them. So we have the Python Code palette and the Sky-Fi palette, and I thought this is going to be cute. These are small, really nice packaging. Come on, Morphe. And it's got 2 mattes in each palette, which is definitely not enough for me. The 2 middle shimmers in each of the palettes are very lackluster. The Two matte shades, again, barely there, dry, sort of non-existent formula. It's just definitely not for me. I like something very pigmented and vibrant, and this is just not that. Apart from this brown shade. This brown shade looks really nicely. But yeah, apart from that, not for me. So both of these are being decluttered. I have the Viseart Dark Edit palette. It's the only thing I own from the brand. And this is what it looks like inside, and yeah, it is very dark. And I kept on hold of this for years, and I think now is the time to declutter this one. I don't need it in my collection anymore, and hopefully someone else can enjoy it. I have one palette from Girl Cult here, and it looks like a little pebble, and it is super cute. I'm not actually sure of the name of it, because it just looks like this on the back. Does it tell me anywhere? Does it tell me? Don't think it tells me. Anyway, it's this one. And this was very kindly gifted to me and by a friend. And inside we have two mattes and two shimmers, and I just think it's so cute. It's a little bit different. Even if you wanted to stand this on your vanity or on your dressing table, like, it looks really aesthetic and cute. So I love to keep that in my collection. I have two here from Wicked Widow Beauty, and I loved trying these palettes and I really enjoy the brand. I keep saying I need to buy some more from them and I haven't. There's only so much I can buy and review in a year, and unfortunately I didn't pick anything else up. But this palette, oh yeah, I remember now, doesn't have the names on the packaging. I think this is the Mad Hatter, possibly Tea Party palette. And this is the colour story inside. Not a complete colour story for me because the mattes are all kind of mid-tone mattes for me, but definitely a nice companion palette and a stunning, stunning formula. And the Wicked Widow palette, this for me is definitely a complete palette. I love this. I think this is it called the Scissor Hands palette? Can't quite remember. Please, if you do know, let us know in the comments. But this colour story is so pretty. And the shimmers in this Imperfect shimmer is ridiculously beautiful, and I just love it. I was doing so well, but I've missed out on Odens eye palette with the Odens eye section. I'm sorry guys, it's because it was in my new in to review a little bit more pile. This is the Ice Crystal palette that they brought out. I think this is the most recent one that they brought out. Again, another bigger palette from Odens eye, and inside it is the most stunning colour story with such amazing shimmers in this. We have more of a flaky shimmer here, which is an extreme multi-chrome. We have toppery shades on this side of the palette in the shimmers, and then some more metallic-y shades on this side. The mattes are super pigmented. I don't know how many looks I did with this. I think I did 3 looks with this, so if you want to check out that video, feel free. But I did really enjoy using this palette. Then I did also pick up a palette from Sampler, which since reviewing this palette and putting the video up, I've discovered that I think Beauty Bay now own this brand, and it used to be Sample Beauty. I'm not 100% sure if those facts are accurate or not, but that is what I'm led to believe. And I bought palette number 3, which is the Neon Grunge palette, and this was £12, and it's got a lot of shades, 25 shades, and the formula was nice. I'll say that. There are 2 more metallic shimmers in this, and the rest are more traditional leaning, and the mattes are okay. I think Beauty Bay's mattes are better than these mattes, but overall for £12, I think you can't go wrong really. We have the first ever eyeshadow palette from Magic Maker, and this is called Alchemy, and it's nice to see an indie brand bring out an eyeshadow palette for the first time, because I knew them for bringing out liquid lipstick shades, but for the first eyeshadow palette, this is the colour story. And I did enjoy using this, but I didn't use the pressed glitters in this palette because, as we have discussed, I'm not a fan of pressed glitters, and there is 2 in this palette, but I did use the, or is there 3? Is that a pressed glitter too? It kind of looks like one. Yeah, I think there's 3. But the mattes in this are a nice formula. I think the colour story is nice. I like the layout of this palette. I like the more rectangle shaped palettes, and it's a good start for the brand, and I can't wait to see what they're going to come out with next. Now I do have 2 here from Mad Witch Cosmetics, which I don't support the brand anymore, unfortunately, because one of the owners left, and unfortunately the other owner is quite a problematic, well-known person in the indie brand community. So unfortunately I am going to be decluttering both of these palettes with a very heavy heart. However, moving on to Poppy and Fluff Cosmetics, Another beautiful UK indie brand. The first palette that they came out with was, I believe it was the Indigo Dreams, and this is the colour story. I did do a look and a video on this palette, and it's so, so cute. Again, a beautiful palette for a first release from a UK indie brand. Then there is, I haven't tried this one yet, the Lonely Scarecrow palette from Poppy and Fluff. This is the colour story, and I can't wait to use this. This was also in my to try drawer, but I just knew I had to film this video, so I've been procrastinating and trying to put everything off because this is the biggest video of the year. But look at that colour story, absolutely incredible. And I believe this palette is still available on the Poppy and Fluff Cosmetics website. But like I say, I am going to use this and then hopefully get back to you in an upcoming video and let you know my thoughts. I did do a video on the Wish Upon a Snowflake palette, which I believe is the most recent one that Poppy and Fluff have brought out, and this is the colour story. The shimmers in this are absolutely insane, and I need to do another look with this. I love the look I did, and it is a beautiful palette. I think they're already coming on in leaps and bounds. Okay, so we're on to the very last part of the video. I say last part. I've managed to put the rest of my palettes on my desk. You can't see how big this desk is and how full it is, so we're going to work our way through it. We're going to get through it. It's all good. Well done if you've made it this far. I don't know how you have. I'm struggling myself. So the BH Cosmetic Palette Pile, and I did do a bigger declutter of BH previously, so let's have a look at what is left. We've got the Lost in Los Angeles palette. Now, BH Cosmetics were bought out by, was it Makeup Revolution? I feel like Makeup Revolution bought BH. And since then, the palettes that have come out haven't quite been the same. So this is the original BH before they were bought out. And I love this palette. Fantastic pastels in this. And I'm not sure if Makeup Revolution brought this back to purchase or not. I can't remember, but I love that palette. Then there is the Blueberry Muffin palette, which is not the best background for me to show you the palette because it's quite reflective, but it definitely does resemble a blueberry muffin. I really do enjoy this formula. Then there is the Passion in Paris palette. It's just a really nice colour story with excellent quality, so I'm definitely keeping hold of that. Then I absolutely love the ice cream palettes that BH came out with. I think I'm only missing one, which is the neutral one. These you cannot get hold of anymore. We'll start with the Cotton Candy. The reason that I like these is because although they're monochromatic palettes, they aren't fully monochromatic. Like this pink one does have some purples in it as well, and it goes from light to deep in most of the palettes. The matte's not so much in this, but that one is cute. Then we've got the Orange Sorbet. See what I mean? Going from the lighter mattes to the deeper mattes, and then the corresponding shimmers across the top. The orange one's stunning. Bubblegum. This one is more monochromatic. This is straight up blue, apart from this shimmer here, which leans a little bit sort of tealy. The Cherry on Top, which is red and a little bit sort of pink. And the absolutely stunning Pistachio. I love pistachio. I could just eat some pistachio ice cream. Look at this gorgeous colour story. This one again is leaning a little bit more monochromatic. And then the last one that I've got here from BH is the Lit List palette. I got this on an amazing discount on Boxing Day one year from Beauty Bay, and it's very rarely reached for. We do have a pressed glitter in the middle, which is the red. The rest of the palette, do I still need to hold on to this? I really don't think I do. I haven't been using it. I said that I was going to. I think it's time to let the Lit List go. Moving on to some Arttitude Cosmetics, another UK indie brand that I absolutely love, and we'll start out with just what's on top, which is the Ink and Roses palette, which is one of the newer palettes from the brand. This one was a Valentine's release, and it's kind of deeper, more interesting Valentine's story for this palette, and the shimmers, insanely beautiful. I did do a look and a video with this palette. I can't remember if it was 2 looks or 1, but this colour story, unexpected for Valentine's Day, a little bit different, a little bit on the deeper side. Loving that. I think the most recent one they came out with was Submerged at the time I'm filming this, and this colour story, I mean, The shimmers in this palette are some of the best that Arttitude have ever done. So if you like this colour story, this one is available to purchase. I mean, I'm just saying. Not that this is a shopping video whatsoever. Then we have the Arcana palette. I love the colour story of this one, but it does lean sort of on the cooler tone side for the shades that are included in that one. I also have the Obsession palette here, which is a very autumnal leaning palette. I do believe you can still purchase this. I'm not 100% sure. Like, there's a lot of palettes here to be keeping track of, I'm sure you can appreciate. We have the Urban Neutrals, which is definitely still available. And although it's neutrals, well, it says neutrals, it is more colourful than you would imagine with it being called neutral. But there are definitely some neutral shades in here. There are 4 neutral mattes and 1 neutral shimmer, and I think it is beautiful. Oh, actually, could this be classed as a neutral as well? I don't know. But at the same time this was released, so was Vintage, and I prefer Vintage slightly because I always lean towards warmer tones rather than cooler tones, and this one is just bright and delicious. Then we have Metamorph, which is possibly my favourite palette from Arttitude, to be honest. This colour story, like with the green as well and the purple, yeah, I think this might still be my favourite one. But up there as well is definitely the Man-Eater palette. Now, the Man-Eater palette has been reformulated and I have the older version, but I think that the formula of the older version is still really good too. I haven't tried the newer one. Loving this colour story. It definitely is giving sort of jungly vibes with the colours, and again, stunning palette. And then the oldest Arttitude Cosmetics palette in my collection, I believe, is the Phoenix palette. Don't think you can get this one anymore. I should stop saying that because I don't know 100%. I'm just guessing at this point. This is the colour story, and it's probably the one I reach for the least from Arttitude because it is more of the older formula. So I think what I'm going to do is declutter the Phoenix palette and keep the rest of Arttitude. Oh, and I did find this. This is the little magnetic palette, and these are some of the singles that were released with, what collection was it? Was it the Ink and Roses, or was it Arcana? I can't quite remember, but these are stunning, and you can pick up some gorgeous shifty multi-chrome singles from Arttitude. Then we have some Lunar Beauty. I don't typically buy from Lunar Beauty because, again, they're no longer available on Beauty Bay and the shipping from the US is not always the best. Now, this first palette was a gift from a friend. This was an advent calendar. I think, yeah, 12-day advent calendar because it's called the 12 Days of Lunar palette. And each day you would get a different shade to add into the palette. And I think this is a beautiful colour story. It's more autumnal for me than it is winter. And a lot of people did complain because they were expecting from the packaging that the shades were going to match the outer packaging, and obviously they do not. So I think a lot of people were shocked at the colour story, but nonetheless it is a beautiful colour story. Then I have the Greek Goddess palette, which is one of the older ones from Lunar Beauty, to be honest, and this is the colour story inside. And I love this one because it has a shade in here called Nemesis, and my lovely friend Nemesis is the one that gifted me the palette, so I'm holding on to this one. Then we have the Eternal Eclipse palette, which is a very nice neutral palette. It's very pigmented, lovely shades in this. Again, not sure if this one's available, but it's neutral with also blue and a bit of grey. The Strawberry Dream palette, oh, I love this one, the colour story. Like those blues, you're not telling me that those blues aren't gorgeous. And the pink and the, okay, I'm just sat here staring into the palette, imagining different looks that I want to create, and I really need to not do that because I still have quite a lot of palettes to get through. Then there is the Moonspell Volume 1 and Volume 2. Unfortunately, they are different sizes. Like, why would you do that to us? The Moonspell Volume 1 has this colour story, which again, we've discovered this is the type of colour story that I really love. And then the Moonspell Volume 2, like obviously I had to get the Volume 2 because I have the Volume 1 and they look like books, but I prefer Volume 1 to Volume 2. However, having said that, it is still a really nice colour story. I think the formula changed with this palette though compared to the volume 1, and a lot of people were upset, but I had a really nice time using this palette. Moving on to quite a big stack of unearthly cosmetics, to be honest. I think I said I was going to declutter these ones last time and they never actually made it out of my collection. So these 3 palettes here, we have the Creepy Crawly palette, which has 4 shades and they are very nice shades. I don't think the quality of these 3 palettes was the same as some of the other palettes from Unearthly, which is a little bit disappointing. However, I do really love the colour story of this one. Then we have the Thirst palette, which I think I'm going to declutter this one. I don't really reach for that colour story. And then we have Chilling, which again, another nice colour story. So I think I'll keep these 2 and declutter Thirst. I still have some palettes from when Unearthly Cosmetics were called Alien Cosmetics, as you can see. And this is the Strawberry Milkshake palette. I think some of these palettes that I have from Unearthly have been reformulated and the pan sizes have been made a lot smaller, which I prefer the bigger pans. That's just personal preference, but this colour story, I mean, stunning. And I did use this palette in a recent look I did for my members for a member exclusive video, and the pinks and the reds, beautiful in that palette. Then there is the Law palette, which I definitely know has been reformulated, and the pans are definitely smaller in the newer one, and this is the colour story. Moving on to the Witching Hour palette, one of my favourite colour stories in my collection, to be honest, because it's just so bright and vibrant, and especially the shade Curse, which is the shimmery green, was so intense and impactful when I put it on my lid, and yeah, 100% keeping that. Poison Apple, again, stunning palette, and I feel like I preferred Unearthly when they did colour stories and packaging and aesthetics a little bit more like this. The Sleepover palette is one of my favourites from them because the quality of this palette is even better than the others. Like, the others are good, but this one is a standout quality for me. And yeah, the looks I did with this, so pretty. And considering I'm not usually the biggest fan of pink eyeshadow, I really do rate this palette. Fairy Frolic, and this is what she looks like. I can't actually remember what this palette's called. Is it the Bunnies palette that they released sort of Easter time? It doesn't have the name on it. And this is the colour story. It is predominantly on the lighter side, so for me would be a companion palette, but the pastels are nice with the corresponding shimmers. Then I have Fall Magic. Again, I think this one was reformulated, and I obviously have the older version. The shimmers in this are very softly pressed. I have the Get Groovy palette. I feel like this was from one of their mystery boxes. It could have been a summer mystery box that I got this, and it is a rainbow palette, and it is a stunning rainbow palette, to be fair. I mean, we are missing more of a straight up red matte. However, I like the twist on the rainbow palette, and it's not huge like some of the other rainbow palettes I've got. So that one's really nice. I absolutely love the Devour palette. This one, the shimmers, the mattes, it just feels very rich and intense, and I remember absolutely loving this one, but I haven't used it for a long time. Then I also have the So Strange palette from Unearthly, which is obviously based on Beetlejuice, and inside this is the colour story. A little bit more of an unexpected colour story. It's more difficult to work with as an eyeshadow palette because for me it's a little bit difficult because we've got a random grey, which is a sandworm, and the colours, I don't know if they 100% go together. Like this row, the purples and the greens, definitely go together. But the others that are added into this, I don't know if it's the most cohesive colour story that I've got. Then I have the In the Dark palette, and this is what she looks like. This is before one of the shades was changed, and this was it reformulated as well? Very possibly. This is a very deep grungy palette. Like, that obscure shade is just, it is a little bit obscure. I don't have that many shades like that in my collection. Please don't shout at me now and tell me that I do, because I love shades like that. Okay, maybe I do. Maybe I do. Hauntingly Glamorous, which I think was a collab with, yes, Sydney Nicole. Oh, now this one. Oh, the lighter tones in this, like the pastel shades, it does just feel very haunting. And I love this colour story, like the middle row especially. Smells like holiday spirit, and look at these giant pans. I do miss these giant pans, and these shades as well you can take out and rearrange, but I definitely don't do that. It is difficult on this one to read the writing because it is white and quite small, but there she is. I think the first palette I bought from the brand, and the first palette that made me interested in the brand, is this one, the Not Normal palette, which has recently been reformulated and brought back out. I'm not sure if there's different shades that's been added as well. I think it's a bigger palette now. But yeah, this is the original and I love her. And last but not least from Unearthly, unless I'm totally mistaken, is the Capricorn palette. And I'm sorry, but how bright is this palette? It is insanely beautiful and bright, and this is just happiness for me, especially this green shade. Like, I feel like just putting that all over my lid, that would be intense. Then we have a palette here from Clarity Cosmetics, which is the So Amazing palette. And as you can imagine, it's a mermaid theme when I can open it. And it is very light, however, it's stunning, especially the shimmers. I do love using this palette. I could potentially use this without a deepening shade for a summer, spring type of look, but yeah, the shimmers and the mattes in this, so pretty. Then we have some Give Me Glow. So we have the Juicy Olive. I do love a theme for a palette, do you know? Just makes me so happy. And this one, the fact that it's olive themed and it's just fully green and it mentions cocktails, like, I am a fan. Haunted Pumpkin. I did review this on my channel. I love the size of these pans as well. I do think they brought this out and brought it back with smaller pans. Again, I'm not sure why that is. If people prefer that in general, I prefer bigger pans. I don't know if it's just me, but what a fantastic colour story for Halloween. Then we have the Pastel Dreams palette. I do love me a pastel, especially for my inner corner, and this is a fantastic pastel palette. Oh, each of the mattes have a corresponding shimmer and all of them are stunning. Then I have the Bad Witch Club palette, which is still in its packaging, which is... I keep some and not others. I don't know why. Sometimes there's a reason, sometimes there's not, but the undertones and the intensity of some of these shades, like this one here, Relax, It's Only Magic, is, again, just one of those shades that draws my eye to it straight away. Nice big circular pans, stunning palette. Then I have three here from Alter Ego, and the colour stories are kind of dupes of, I think this is a dupe of an ABH palette for sure. This one, what is this a dupe of? Is that a dupe of a Huda palette? Is that what we're saying? And then, how are we pronouncing this? Sakura? This is the colour story, and I think the colour stories are pretty. It's not my favourite formula, and I think I am now, after a while of owning these, gonna declutter all three. Moving on to some Melt. I used to love Melt eyeshadow, like, so much. I wanted to collect everything that they released. When their formula was good and their colour stories were good, I feel like they have gone downhill in a big way for me. I just don't feel the same pull to buy the palettes from them. Like, that's really, really sad, isn't it? But I do have the two Beetlejuice palettes here. I have Recently Deceased and The Waiting Room. Now, I did have to buy these secondhand because I didn't buy them at the time of release, and yeah, these are kind of like unicorn palettes that people wish that they owned, and I am definitely keeping them in my collection. So I do have the little artwork as well. Let's just move that out of the way, and this is the colour story. Like, are some of the shades in this similar? Could they have made them a little bit different from each other? Yes, they absolutely could. But the aesthetic of the palette, and again, the green and the purple combo, I love it. Okay, the Waiting Room palette looks like this, which is, you know, again, some similar shades, like the greys look kind of similar on the eye. Some of the red mattes look kind of similar on the eye. However, having said that, it is really good quality. Like, Melt used to do the best quality red matte eyeshadow. Now this is the Amore Mariposas palette from Mel, and this was when they took a little bit of a different tack with things. This is a different kind of shape and style for them. This palette is quite a weighty one as well, and the colour, the story inside is pretty. Really small circular pans, which was definitely different for Mel. I do remember using it though and liking it. Not my favourite from them, but still a nice palette. I have the Smoke Sessions palette here, which has phenomenal shimmers in it and only 2 mattes. But yeah, the shimmers in this, really nice. Then we have the Blueprint palette, which I love the blues. I don't think we needed so many neutrals in this palette, personally for me. Some people might love that. And again, there is only 2 mattes in this palette, which for me, I do prefer a matte heavy palette, but still a nice palette. She's in Parties, fantastic quality of this palette. Like, this is when Mel had the best quality of eyeshadow in my opinion. Like, this palette in particular is one that stands out for me as being extremely good quality. And I have the Radioactive palette, which, you know, bright, colourful, is a nice addition to a makeup look if you want to add a bright pop of something in there. Then I have 2 piles of the long rectangular style of palette from them, which actually I prefer the most. I've got the Rust palette here, which looks like this, and yeah, it definitely does give Rust vibes. Again, fantastic quality. I have these 2 palettes, which I don't think you can get anymore. I have the original ones, so they are magnetic and go together and make a skull. They are the Life and Death palettes. I'm not going to try and pronounce the Death palette because every time I do, somebody tells me I'm saying it wrong. So I'm not going to attempt. But yeah, Vida looks like this, and I still love this colour story. I still love this quality. Just makes me so, so happy. And then the Death palette, and I do, yes, keep them in their sleeves, 100% for sure. Look at this colour story. Insanely pigmented, delicious. The reds are insane. I love these 2 tones together, the red and the blue, and then even sort of the lighter bluey mint on the end. Stunning. Now, these 2 palettes are probably the most recent ones I've bought from Melt, to be honest, and it's when they did the collab with Nightmare Before Christmas. So I've got the Christmas Town palette and the Halloween Town palette, and I love the fact that they have made the palette the shape of the podium that Jack stands at in the film, and the fact that they have the lenticular motion, and it feels like sort of wooden. It feels fantastic for the packaging. And the colour story, I mean, I like the layout even of the higgledy-piggledy shades, and I think the colour story definitely matches the theme. The quality of the eyeshadows in these 2 palettes is definitely not as good as what Melt used to do. And this one, stunning, but I remember using, I can't remember which red it was, I think it was the brighter one, and it was just so lackluster, and it's not what I'm used to from Melt, especially because their red matte eyeshadows have been fantastic in other palettes. So yeah, this was part of the downfall for me, unfortunately. Packaging, amazing. Actual eyeshadow formula, not great. Then I have the 420 palette, and I do keep this in its packaging because I don't want to damage it, because people say that the plastic that's stuck on for the lenticular motion peels off. So I didn't really want that to be happening. And this is the colour story inside. A lot of people didn't like the quality of this one. I didn't find it that bad, to be fair. And this is a fully matte palette. Ooh, the Electric eyeshadow palette. Okay, I did stick the stickers on the back that came with the palette. It definitely sends your eyes a bit funny in person. And this is the colour story. Like, for me, it was disappointing when I tried this because you're thinking electric. Oh, it's going to be like sort of psychedelic and funky. And then you see the colour story and you think that's quite tame, dare I say. We have the Mary Jane palettes, and this is what she looks like inside. Very, very neutral and cool toned browns. The Millennial Pinks palette, unfortunately for me, isn't the best quality, even though it is one of the older ones, which is a shame because I really like the blue and pink combination in this. And then we have the 2 Gemini palettes. So the Gemini one is the green sort of rusty version, which is right up my street, and then the Gemini 2 palette looks like this inside, We do still have some green in this one as well, which I'm happy to see, and it's nice to see that there is a Gemini too to go with the first one. So that is all of the melts. Let me just scoochie these off of my desk so I don't knock them over, and I have a little bit more room. Moving on to Lethal Cosmetics, which is a German indie brand, I believe. I'm not sure if the owners have now sold the company to somebody else. I heard that somewhere, not sure if it's stuck in my memory. You'll have to let me know if you are aware. So some of the older palettes that I have from Lethal Cosmetics, is this the After Dark palette? It says After Dark on the sticker, so I mean, possibly. I mean, I do feel like these older palettes from Lethal, the mattes are on the drier, dustier side, and they're not as pigmented and rich as I would like. And the shimmers, although beautiful, can be a little bit on the crumbly side. Oh, this was my favourite palette from them. This is, what is this? The Night Flower? Yes, the Night Flower palette, because the colour story of this one and the formula of this one was better than the other ones in my opinion. So I really enjoyed that one. Then there is the One Up palette, which is gaming inspired, like retro gaming. And if you open it up and turn it around, it looks like player 1, player 2 and the buttons. And I think there are two, I think it's the bright green and the bright pink that are they UV? Glow in the dark shades? I can't remember, it's been a long time. Or it could be that one. I don't know, it could be that one. Yeah, it's too long ago. I've slept a lot since then. But yeah, I thought it was a cute concept for a retro gaming palette for sure. And then what have we got here? Lethal is Dead, which was the collab they did with Teresa is Dead. And I picked this up because the colour story definitely spoke to me. I think it's a really nice, cute colour story. Again, mattes on the drier side, not my favourite shimmers in the entire world. I feel like they came on leaps and bounds since this palette. Now, you may be wondering, oh, Kerry, you actually have the Avatar The Last Airbender collab palettes, all 4 of them that they did. Yeah, and I've never reviewed them and I've never used them. That's because I had some really, really bad customer service and some emails from the owners, unfortunately, that really put me off the brand. So I do have them in my collection, I've just never used them, which is quite sad, to be fair, because they look amazing and I should really get around to using them, especially if now that the brand has changed owners. Now this one, the Fire palette, look how stunning that is, like so untouched but beautiful. Gorgeous colour story. Then we have the Air palette. And this is the colour story, a little bit more unexpected, a little bit more versatile than the Water, of course, Blues, and the Earth palette, which is, for obvious reasons, my favourite out of the 4 colour stories. Now here we have some Glaminatrix Cosmetics. I have the Silent Night palette, which looks like this. My friend got it for me and it is stunning. Unfortunately, 2 of the shades I did have to squish back in because of damage when travelling, but amazing quality. Glaminatrix are based in Australia, so they aren't the cheapest shipping wise, so I don't have a lot of palettes from them, but I really like that one. The Nocturnal palette, again, this type of colour story is always going to pull me in for sure. I wasn't 100% convinced with this particular formula. I don't know if they changed the shimmer formula after I had bought mine, because they are very, very loosely pressed in the pan. And then my most recent purchase from Glaminatrix is the Tones of Turd palette, which is insane quality. Insane quality, and I love the theming. This was actually an April Fool's Day prank from the brand. They posted that it was going to do a Tones of Turd palette and all of the different shade names and colours, and people said, yeah, that's what we want. So they made it, and I bought it. Oh wow, I have some old palettes here. So I have the Lois Cosmetics Rose Metal palette. Here, I'm not even sure if Lois Cosmetics is still a brand and still trades. It's a shame if they don't. So this one is very pink and sort of cute and neutral leaning. I feel like this one would be perfect for a wedding. But now, because it's so old and I don't even know if the brand exists anymore, I am going to have to declutter this one. Meet me in the underworld. Everybody lost their minds for this. I was one of the lucky people that managed to grab this on the website as soon as it launched. It sold out so quickly, and it's because of the theming, I think. The two characters that are involved, I have the little card that says meet me in the underworld and the myth of what it's all about. And the colour story is like this. Some greens, some plummy rosy tones. A really cute palette. I still think I want to hold on to this one. Yeah. Then we have Meet Me at Midnight, which released after it, and I think a lot of people were questioning the colour story because although yes, there are definitely some shades that are Meet Me at Midnight vibes and feels, there are some unexpected ones in here. It's not the most cohesive colour story for me, and unfortunately this formula just wasn't as good as the Meet Me in the Underworld formula. For some reason, some of the shades just weren't as good, which is a shame. And as far as I'm aware, this is the last palette that the brand released. And because this is the newest one from the brand, just in case they are still around or they're going to come back, I think I will hold on to that one. Ooh, you're not in the right pile. Get in the right pile. There we go. And then I have some Blend Bunny cosmetics. So I have the Blends palette and the Surge palette. So the Blends is a rainbow palette and it is full of mattes, perfect for creating any kind of look you want because it's more or less got every shade. Then there is the Surge palette, which is the first one I bought from Blend Bunny, and it has the neons. Look at the neons. They are incredible. The shimmer formula is definitely not my favourite. It does not last in my crease for 2 seconds. It disintegrates and turns into nothing. However, the mattes in this palette are fantastic, so that is why I hold on to that one. Moving on to some Made by Mitchell. Now this is old Made by Mitchell. This is when he first started his own brand. I don't have the newer ones. I did have one of the newer ones, but I decluttered it because I just didn't really like it that much, and I still really enjoy these ones. So this is the Mini Mitchell Volume 1, and I still like the colour story. Like, I could have done without the neutrals, but even so, it's really, really nice, and I feel like this is when he did good eyeshadow for me and colour stories, and the packaging was normal and not sort of just in an M shape that's really difficult to store. So I really like that one still, and I keep these in the pouches that they came in. I love these pouches, and I wish that he still did them as an option with his palettes. So what was this one called? Is it Feet on the Ground palette? I feel like that's, yeah, Feet on the Ground palette. And as you can tell, it is kind of army themed camouflage, but also it's got some very nice, bright, delicious pops in this. Definitely keeping this one. This was a really nice time when I was getting into so much more bright, colourful eyeshadow. And kind of around the time that I started my channel as well, I believe. And then there is the Head in the Clouds palette, which, oh my goodness, it's jumping out of my hands, looks like this. Stunning palette. Still stunning, I still love it, and I'm still keeping it. Moving on to some Beautymoon Cosmetics, another UK-based indie brand, and we have the Ice Maiden palette, which I'm still yet to test. I have been so busy and snowed under with lots of different eyeshadow related videos, as well as my actual day job and just general life, so I haven't got around to testing this one yet, but the colour story does look absolutely gorgeous. It definitely does give that sort of icy feel, so yeah, I'm excited to try this one. The most recent palette that the brand has brought out is the Missile Glow, and I love this palette. The look that I did when I reviewed this, this for me is definitely the perfect Christmas palette for this year, and it's everything that I am about this year for Christmas colours. Swatching this out is incredible. I love the pink background, I love the theming, the shimmers and the mattes in this are incredible, and I feel like this is definitely the best Beautymoon palette formula wise and colour story wise for me. Then I have two palettes that, or is it, no, 3 palettes that came in the beauty subscription box that Beautymoon do. Every 3 months they have a makeup box that you can sign up for. It's a mystery unless you want to check over on the Instagram for the sneak peeks and spoilers, and it's £30 for the box, and the contents inside are always worth more than £30, and they have been coming with some little eyeshadow palettes like this. So we have Moonlit Petals, and this is the colour story. Now I did say when I was reviewing this that these 2 shades for me are on the similar side. I would have liked a little bit more variation in depth, but it is a nice formula. However, having said that, because it's not a fully complete palette for me, I will declutter this one. Then we have the Aurora Spell palette, which for me is definitely a bit better because we have variation between the two mattes, and the shimmers in this are beautiful. So I'm keeping this one. And the Winter Veil is definitely more of an all-rounder for me because we do have a mid-tone, some deep and light shades in this. And again, I love my look that I did with that. The Mantra palette. Now, this is the spirituality, intuition and communication version because there was a second one as well, but this colour story spoke to me a little bit more than the other one. And this is a really nice formula. I think the shimmers in this, especially the shade Oracle and Zenith, are really, really special and pretty. Again, I don't think it can top Missile Glow for me, but it's still a beautiful palette. Then there was the collab with my good friend Wilma Fingerdo. She is on YouTube in case you want to check out her content. And look at this. I did definitely love the look I did with this. I love anything that has got bright colours in it. I feel like the quality of this is fantastic. And yeah, I think both of them did a fantastic job together working on that palette. Then we have the last one. It's the Medusa palette. Look at this colour story. I mean, we have some jewel tone looking shades in here and just some really, really sort of grungy, dark. It does feel kind of villainy vibes, which is great because obviously Medusa. Okay, we're on to the very, very last pile. And I think this is sort of a random pile of just bits and bobs here and there. I didn't put this W7 palette with the other W7 palette that I decluttered, the Mardi Gras, at the very beginning, which makes me sad that I didn't have it with that one, but we shall look at it now. This is a dupe of the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde, I believe, and the quality of this one is fantastic. I think you can still get this, but because I do have Mercury Retrograde, I don't need to keep hold of this in my collection anymore. Then we have Urban Decay, the only palette I have left from Urban Decay, and it's the Wild Greens. I did name my video on this Mild Greens because for me, they are definitely mild when you open it up. Like, did I buy this partially for the packaging and the way that it opens? Yes. Yes, I did. But it's nice quality. The shimmers aren't anything to write home about, but I still enjoy it. Okay, it's mainly for the packaging, right? Okay. Then we have the only palette I own from Adept Cosmetics, and it's the collab they did with Heather Austin. I don't know the actual name of the palette because it's not on the palette, but this is the colour story. Again, we have some greens and we have some purples, very shimmer heavy with Adept, which is why I don't always tend to look at Adept Cosmetics because, yeah, as we know, I prefer a matte heavy palette, but what a stunning colour story. Like, I think Heather did a fantastic job at picking the shades in this palette. I never know the name of this. I spoke about it in my last palette collection video last year, and I didn't know the name of it then, and I don't think I know the name of it now. If you know the name of this palette, please let the others in the comments know. This was a gift from a very generous friend. This shade did come a little bit smooshed, but look at this colour story. Isn't this just me in a palette? Like, everything that I've told you that I like, and the people that are regulars on my channel will know, this is the type of colour story that is just heaven for my eyes. Really wish I could remember. I feel like it begins with an N. I have a Profusion palette here. Now, I don't typically buy Profusion palettes, however, when it's got good theming, Ninja Turtles, it's also got liquid in the top that moves around, and the colour story is bright and vibrant. How could I say no? And the affordability of this palette as well is kind of what makes me think, okay, yeah, the shimmers are more on the putty side. The mattes aren't the best in my collection by a mile because I have some amazing mattes. However, do I think it is good for the price? And if you like this colour story, go for it. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? And I am still going to keep hold of it. Ninja Turtles. I think this is now the only palette I own from NYX Cosmetics, and it's the Utopia palette. I wanted this for the longest time when it was available in the US, and I wanted it to come to the UK, and it finally did. I grabbed it, and I still think it's quite an interesting colour story. Neutral leaning, but interesting. So I think I am going to still keep hold of this. Wow, this is old now. I feel like you should be able to still get hold of this, right? I lied earlier. I said I only had one palette from Juvia's Place. I'd just like to correct that now. I have this one as well, which is the Valhalla 2 palette. I bought this for the insanely beautiful cover story. However, I wasn't impressed with the formula of this. And we do have at least one pressed glitter in this, potentially 3 just looking at it. I don't know whether to keep it, so I'm going to swatch it. Is that going to help me? I'm going to declutter this. I'm going to declutter it. It's finally time. The only palette I own from Game Beauty has that amazing packaging that I love that Kaleidos has, which is the soft matte packaging, and it's got the magnetic sort of half folding closure mabob thing. That made no sense, but my brain doesn't make any sense right now because I've been filming for a very long time. This is the colour story inside. We do have a pressed glitter, unfortunately. However, it is a really nice palette. I love gaming, just in case you didn't know. It is one of my passions as well as makeup, so I love this palette and I need to invest more into Game Beauty because, again, gaming, makeup, happiness. And the last palette that I'm going to talk about, woohoo, we made it, is the September Rose Cosmetics Still Pretty palette. And I bought this because it's pink and red. And I love the combination of pink and red. Do I reach for it and do I use it? No, not really. And I am going to declutter this one. So I'm going to jump off for a second. I'm going to put all the palettes that I am decluttering on my table, and then we're going to have a little chat. I am getting rid of quite a lot of palettes from my collection. Some of them are older, some of the brands don't exist, some I just don't reach for anymore, that type of thing. Hopefully I explain myself well through all of the different reasons and colour stories and why, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I will be gifting these palettes to my close friends and family. They will have dibs on these, as well as my Patreon group. They have a Telegram chat with me and I will ask to see if they want any of these palettes. And if not, I will also just be getting rid of the ones that are super duper old and probably not safe to put on your eye anymore. I did also just want to say I do have 7 palettes from Jeffree Star. I'm not including them in this video because I am going to be keeping hold of them just for sort of nostalgia purposes, because that was sort of when I was just getting into makeup. Like Blood Sugar was one of my first high-end sort of purchases for eyeshadow. And I don't really use them. I definitely don't advertise them on my channel, but they are in my collection. So I did just want to point out that I do have those 7. If you know how many palettes I have in my collection, or did have at the start of this video, you deserve a Blue Peter badge, because wow. But sometimes it's good to have a declutter, especially at the end of a year. And we're coming into December now. I want to have some more space for some new palettes that I'm going to review and put on my channel for you guys. So I feel like I did well. I feel like I did. I can be a little bit of a hoarder when it comes to eyeshadow, and of course the reason I have so much is because I review it. I appreciate this was a super long video, and thank you so much if you were able to stick with me, even if you just had me on in the background while you were busy cleaning, ironing, that type of thing. It is very, very much appreciated because there's a lot of effort that goes into putting this particular video together at the end of the year. It's definitely the biggest and most involved one that I have on my channel each year. And I do appreciate, because of the length of it, there will be quite a lot of adverts in this one as well. And I appreciate you sticking with me regardless through that, because that is how I monetize my channel, and I'm able to purchase different palettes and invest it back into the channel so that I can review eyeshadow and other makeup products for you guys. So I just want to say a huge thank you. Thank you for being here. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then please do consider subscribing, because we love eyeshadow over here. We love indie brands, we love bright colourful makeup, and sometimes we love a little bit of neutrals too. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.